Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool, meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Equality Radio. Equality Radio.
Fabulous.
Now, here's your host, Randall White. Randall White on Q Talk America.
.806 the time, everyone. Great to have you with us here on Q Talk America Equality Radio on this incredibly historic day. Wow. I just can't get over what has just transpired. Hey, Anthony, do you mind turning that light on for me? I forgot to turn it on. We never do a show at this time on a weekday, yeah. And so and with the news coming down just, less than an hour ago, sort of scrambling to get everything together here. But we're up and running now, and we're so glad to have you with us here on Q Talk. It's exciting to be able to put together a day of live coverage so that you can share your voice, and we highly encourage you to give us a ring. In fact, right now, let us know, what does this mean to you? What do you think about how the justices ruled on both the Defense of Marriage Act and Proposition 8? Does it affect you directly? Do you think people have been making too big of a deal out of it? Or do you agree that this is possibly one of the biggest days in LGBT history? Give us a call right now at 424-272-6365. That's 424-272-6365. We'll put you right through and join the conversation, because that's what we want. We want to talk to you about this. I am broadcasting live from downtown San Luis Obispo, California, halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles. And clearly the Prop 8 decision will affect us here. It affects me directly. This wedding ring on my hand came on November 1st, just 4 days before the Prop 8 was passed here in California by the voters, 52% voting in favor of that after some very misleading advertising paid for by the Mormon Church, it's been found, and also the Catholic Church putting a lot of money into the campaign as well through hidden channels and that sort of thing, and tricking people into thinking that this would force schools to teach their children how to be gay, and this crazy ad campaign that they ran mainly in the Central Valley and portions of Southern California. They knew they weren't going to convince people in the Bay Area and in some of the coastal regions. And so if you looked back in 2008, if you looked at how the numbers fell at that time, places like San Francisco, Marin County, Sonoma County voted between 80 and above 90% against Proposition 8, because they knew that it was just a giant farce. But other areas of the state, including the Los Angeles region, which has the bulk of the population, thought that it was a good idea. However, polls out within this last year show a much different picture. They show that if Proposition 8 were put up to a vote today, it would fail. But then again, you have to take into account crazy ad schemes that would be brought in to change those numbers, right? Because that's how it basically works. All right, let me pull my script over here, and I've already told you that we'll be taking your calls, of course. This is a special edition. It is the 26th day of June, 2013. It is 8:06 or 8:09 well, just about 8:10 now here on the West Coast, 11:10 Eastern. I'm your host, Randall White, and we do come to you live each and every weekday here on Q Talk America. However, the show typically airs from 3 to 4 Pacific. We thought we would get started much earlier today so we could be more timely with these Supreme Court rulings. And as you heard, DOMA is no longer the rule of the land. So this is the deal. The 1996 law has been ruled unconstitutional. Married same-sex couples in the 12 states that allow such unions, along with the District of Columbia, become subject to more than 1,000 federal laws and programs and start to receive federal benefits. The ruling has no direct effect on bans on same-sex marriages in other states. Now, what has to be taken into account is that California, the largest state population-wise, after the ruling from Proposition 8, now becomes so they list 12 states here, now becomes a 13th state. And a big chunk of the nation's population, at least 1 in 10 people in the United States, is a Californian. So now all those marriages, including the 18,000 that happened in 2008 prior to Proposition 8 passing, those 18,000 people will now have their marriages validated by the federal government. I can tell you just this last April, I was pulling my hair out trying to do our taxes. I guess we were actually doing them in March. It got to the point I was so stressed out. My husband was on the couch, and I know he could tell that I was being crazy. And I said, if DOMA doesn't get knocked down in June, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to move to Canada or something, because trying to do my taxes every year is just insane and crazy, and it's unfair. And so now this is. I just can't tell you how elated and excited I am that it came down the way that it did. Just for the tax reason alone, not to mention really the greater value of being recognized by the federal government. Here's another thing. I hyphenated my last name. On the show here I go as Randall White, but my name is Randall Teodosio White. I took my husband's last name and combined it with mine. I can't show that on my driver's license because I can't walk into a DMV with my marriage certificate and have them just easily switch it over for me. Now I can. So little things like that, making your marriage feel validated. And I'm wondering what you think about that. Please give us a call. 4242 Randall. That's 4242 Randall, spelled with an O-L. Not A-L-L like Randall. It's Randall. Don't be shy. We want to hear what you think. I mean, you must be just spilling over with emotion right now from these rulings that we have been waiting on pins and needles. Every day the court is like, are they going to rule? Is it going to happen today? And then at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, the rulings didn't come down day after day. And then finally, we get word that Wednesday, today, June the 26th, would be the day that we get those rulings. And they came down exactly the way that all the court observers assumed that they would. DOMA was struck down, and Prop 8 was sent back to the lower court. We still need really more information on how the Prop 8 decision will affect the marriages here in California, or the ability for people to get married. And we'll have a legal expert on the show later today. In fact, Courtney Jocelyn is a law professor at the UC Davis School of Law. She'll be joining us a couple of hours from now. But we have several other people, including the communications director for Equality California, joins us at the bottom of the hour, Jesse Melgar. I'm very excited to hear what he has to say about this Prop 8 ruling. It should really crystallize everything for us here on Q Talk America.
Equality Radio. Join the conversation. Give us a call. 424-272-6365. Equality Radio.
And coming up next, we head to Seattle. The organizer of today's big rally up there, Sean Niddle, joins us to let us know what they think about all this in the Pacific Northwest, one of the states where marriage equality will be available soon. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex. Open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas. Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org.
Imagine a world where bullying isn't considered a normal part of childhood.
A world where I'm not afraid to go to school.
To speak out.
To be myself.
Loser. A world where I'm not afraid to be caught alone.
Come on, punk.
We have the power to stop the bullying. Speak out.
Speak up.
Educate.
Find out what to look for and how you can make a difference at bullying.org.
Bullying is not kids being kids.
It's not about good homes
Or bad homes.
It's not a normal part of growing up. I shouldn't be afraid to get on the school bus.
To turn on my computer.
Message. Or walk to my locker. Did you know that a bully will stop his or her behavior in 10 seconds when their peers speak up?
Use your voice.
Hey, leave him alone!
We have the power to stop bullying.
Find out more at bullying.org.
bullying.org.
Where you're not alone.
You're not alone.
Where you're not alone.
Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex. Open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Randall White on Q Talk America. Equality Radio.
19 minutes past the hour right now, and welcome to our special Supreme Court of the United States DOMA and Prop 8 coverage here on Equality Radio, heard exclusively on Q Talk America. And joining us on the line right now is Joe Duganzik. He is the man, the brainchild, the person who created Q Talk America. Welcome to the program, Joe.
Thanks, Randall. It's great to actually be on your show for a change.
I know, yeah, a little flip-flop there. And
that's right.
So happy to have you on. You took the day off work because you knew this was going to be a big day.
Yeah, I was starting to come down, and I just said, I want to be part of it. I don't want to be stuck at the office. So it was an emergency thing. So Absolutely, and it's you were talking before your break about how this affects you, even just for your taxes and
Right.
dealing with the stress of the taxes. And I am someone who is not partnered, not dating anyone, but it's kind of like for me, and I think for many other single LGBT people out there, this day now gives us much more hope, saying that, okay, if we do find a partner at some point, that it's going to be recognized and it's going to be all these things that we're hoping for are going to be granted.
Isn't that fantastic? Now, you live in Arizona. Q-Talk is based in Arizona. Arizona is not one of the states that currently allows marriage rights for same-sex couples. What are you sensing on the ground there when you talk to people? Is there a shift? Arizona is known as being rather conservative, but we're even seeing some conservative states sort of shifting in that direction.
I think Arizona has made some strides on the local level. When you have a conservative governor, when you have a conservative legislature, it's hard to have a large change occur, even in a short or even perhaps in a long period of time, maybe 5-10 years.
Yeah.
Because those people simply have to cycle out of office, or they have to have their minds change magically.
Evolve on the matter, as we hear.
That's right. But Phoenix itself is progressive. Tucson is progressive. Flagstaff is progressive. You have the local areas of the state that are more progressive, and people are sort of working that angle, saying, well, if we get the localities to change, then perhaps the whole state will change.
Yeah, Joe, didn't was it Tucson that voted recently to extend rights to transgendered people?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome. I'm happy.
That was huge. There was a bill in Phoenix a number of months ago, which it kept showing up as the quote unquote bathroom bill, but again dealing with transgender. So I mean, it was the transgender rights ordinance, I believe, as well in Phoenix. So yeah, one small step at a time.
That's right. Well, Joe Duganzik, the man who started Q-Talk America, the host network for Equality Radio. Thank you so much for joining us today. I know you'll be listening, and we hope to hear from more people from Arizona as well. Joe Duganzik, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Randall. Great coverage today.
Oh, I wouldn't be anywhere else but right here, right now. Joining us on the line, we're going to head from Arizona to Seattle to loop in Sean Niddle. Sean is the organizer at Social Outreach Seattle, the group putting together the rally there. Welcome to the program, Sean.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so what is planned in downtown Seattle today to mark what just happened?
Well, we decided that, when we heard it was kind of difficult to put together, as you know, because the date we didn't really know.
Yeah, tell me.
So
I tried to organize an entire 4-hour radio show based on that. It was impossible.
I'm telling you, yeah. And so, the thing is that we've got this swell of energy that's been building up. So we said, all right, we want to get everybody together and kind of have this organized. So what we're going to do is we've partnered with the organizations within Seattle that worked on marriage equality all these years. So we have the ACLU, Equal Rights Washington, HRC, Q Law, the Business Chamber, and the Pride Foundation. We're all getting together, and we're going to basically celebrate. And we're asking people to show up and come out with signs of support and just really, mark this historic occasion for what it is, and just get together and, celebrate for once, because these victories, far and few between for the LGBT community. So we cannot allow this to pass without celebrating. And you know what the great thing is? Seattle Pride is this weekend.
Oh,
so
wow.
This could not have come at a better time.
Talk about great timing. Hey, Sean, up until just recently, in fact, up until just this past November election, whenever the issue of same-sex equality was put before the voters, it was always voted down. And then this past November, it was really enlightening to see several areas of the country decide that they're not going to vote that way any longer. Washington among them. How does that feel to be part of that group?
It was amazing. The Social Outreach Seattle, we were born out of the marriage equality fight. It's a nonprofit that I co-founded with Daniel Hanks, who's a straight ally. And the reason why we came together is because we said, you know what, we're seeing these commercials and things around the nation that are for marriage equality that don't have gay people in them, or gay people that don't look like anybody that I know, or trans people. So we did a whole bunch of commercials. We did like 27 commercials in 30 days. It was insane.
Nice.
So anybody can look at all that video work. It's at socialoutreachseattle.com. And we changed the messaging from benefits to love, because we kept talking about, we want to get married for the benefits. While that's true, there are benefits that come along with the responsibility of marriage.
Right.
The truth is, nobody goes to the altar and says, I do to your benefits. They say, I do to love. I love you. I cherish you. And so we simply changed that. All 4 states, all 4 wins, we did that. It became about, this is love. Are you for love or not? And also, we were very successful here in Washington State by adopting the saying, be on the right side of history. And you look at the civil rights movement in the 1960s, and the internet has a long memory. The people that posted hateful things on Facebook and Twitter, that's going to be there for a very long time. They won't have the luxury of saying, I was always for gay marriage or marriage equality or whatever you'd like to call it.
Right.
The truth is, there will be an accountability now that's actually in place. So we kind of went around telling people and say, hey, be on the right side of history here. This is going to change. Are you going to be one of the ones that's left standing there, with hateful messages, or are you going to get on board with this? And I think that really resonated with people around the country. And the speeches that I would give, I would say, look, this is going to galvanize the rest of the nation, and we're going to start to see this swelling of sentiment that basically says enough with the hate, and that love between 2 people, regardless of gender, is something that's beautiful and should be celebrated.
Even the president,
and I think that's what did it.
Yeah, even the president tweeting this morning, #LoveIsLove, which really sends an enormous message to everyone. Who can argue with that? And if you are arguing with that, then you're a dark person. That's how I feel about it.
You are. It's like there's not enough heartbreak in the world that can stop most people from going after love. We never give up.
Sean,
and that's what the gay movement was. We never gave up, and we never ever will. You can't abandon love, and we know that. We know that in our core. That's why we're winning now.
Right. Sean, excuse me for my ignorance. Can you update me on the status of marriage equality in Washington? Does it start August 1st? Or is that Minnesota I'm thinking of?
Yeah, I think that's Minnesota. We were able to marry December 9th.
December 9th.
Last year. It was very quick for us because you could file on the 6th, and we had to wait 3 days for you to have your ceremony. So we began having same-sex marriages ceremonies take place, but with the licenses being given on the 6th. And actually, the City Hall opened up its space to perform over 100 marriages
awesome.
On the 9th.
That's fantastic. That was quick. Most governments don't move that fast.
We were not messing around here. We had planned for this for a while.
That's wham bam, thank you, ma'am and ma'am, man and man.
That was it.
All right, Sean Niddle. socialoutreachseattle.com. Keep it tuned in here, Sean. We'll hopefully be able to loop you back in again. You have a lot of great stuff to say.
Perfect.
All right, everyone, you're listening to Equality Radio here on Q Talk America. Stick around, because up next we are going to get some of that what's going to happen in California cleared up for us when we welcome the communications director for Equality.
Can we have your
California.
attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org. You're listening to Equality Radio on Q Talk America. equalityradio.net, qtalkamerica.com.
It's the bottom of the hour and time for the Equality Radio news update. Of course, topping the news today, the Supreme Court rulings on both the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA, and California's Proposition 8. President Obama may have said it best with his tweet following the court's 5-4 striking down of DOMA, tweeting, "Today's DOMA ruling is a historic step for hashtag marriage equality, hashtag love is love." The ruling means same-sex couples who are legally married will now have those marriages recognized by the federal government as well. Mary at SCOTUS blog wrote this morning, "Perhaps for the first time ever, many people will be eager to file their taxes next April the 15th. Edith Windsor had sued the government over more than $300,000 she was required to pay in taxes after the death of her spouse. Had Windsor been married to a man, she would not have had to pay those taxes, and now, after this ruling, she won't have to after all. As for Proposition 8, marriage equality should be returning to California as the justices ruled that the Ninth Circuit Court was without jurisdiction to consider the appeal. The judgment of the Ninth Circuit Court is vacated, and the case is remanded with instructions to dismiss the appeal for lack of jurisdiction. Legal experts differ on the precise legal and practical effects of such a ruling, but many say that the trial court's decision would survive and that either as a consequence of the decision or the actions of state officials, same-sex marriages in California would resume. I have read that they could resume as soon as the end of July. Keep it right here for more live coverage from Equality Radio, exclusively from Q Talk America. I'm Randall White, and we're back after a very short break. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Equality Radio. Equality Radio.
Fabulous.
Now, here's your host, Randall White. Randall White on Q Talk America.
33 minutes past the hour, everyone. Great to have you with us here on Q Talk America. What an exciting day. You know, I can't imagine being anywhere else right now. As a news anchor for some 20 years, every time big news would come down, if I was off that day, I would go to the station because I wanted to play a role in it somehow. It's just like when you find yourself glued in front of the television or in front of the radio because you have to know what's going on. I guess nowadays you're glued in front of the internet, or you're today glued in front of SCOTUS blog and Q Talk America. But well, it was the same thing for me, and I always felt I could get the most recent information by being at the station, and that's how I feel today. We are bringing in the best guest today. We just talked to Sean Niddle from Social Outreach Seattle, also Joe Duganzik with Q Talk America in Arizona, and in both cases, we learned a lot of information, but I'll tell you what I am very curious about right now is the California rulings. Didn't make a ton of sense to me, and hopefully to help us with that is Jesse Melgar. He is the communications director for Equality California, a very, very busy man today, but joining us here on Q Talk. Jesse, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be on.
I know that you are just one call after the other right now, and what I'm wondering is a couple of questions. Does this mean marriages will resume in California, and if so, when?
It does. So what happened is essentially the ruling now reverts back to Judge Von Walker's case in the Ninth Court Circuit of Appeals. And essentially his ruling was that Prop 8 was unconstitutional. So the Supreme Court did not take a position. Instead, they ruled on standing, claiming those folks who brought the case forward did not have standing to have it heard before the case. So marriages will resume in California. We are waiting a word from the governor and the attorney general here in the state to see when exactly they will resume. They're not going to happen today. So for folks looking to get married today, it's probably not likely. We're just waiting to hear back from our elected officials statewide to see what their plan of action is to implement marriages.
I had read somewhere that possibly by the end of July, but I know there are a lot of Pride celebrations going on this coming weekend. San Francisco's, I believe, is underway. And I know that there were marriages scheduled just in case this was the ruling. But any chance that just from your sense of the people that you talked to that it could happen in time for that?
It's hard to speculate, to be perfectly honest. What we're deferring to is, our elected leaders, and specifically the governor and attorney general. They're the ones who really have the constitutional power within the state of California to decide and really hand down a ruling on when, they'll allow marriages to resume. But, the good thing is now it's a matter of when, not if.
Right.
So we're really excited for folks who are going to be, moving forward in their lives and affirming their love for one another with the ability to marry.
Jesse, Equality California has been at the forefront of this Prop 8 debate since it was on the ballot, and marriage equality long before that. In fact, I'm wearing a shirt right now for those of you watching online that says "Let California Ring," and the O in California is a wedding ring. There's a website on the back that's like letcaliforniaring.org or com or something like that. If you go to that website, it now sends you to Equality California. Was this an early campaign?
Yeah, so what we did in 2008 with the unfortunate loss of victory in Prop 8, as far as it's a no, the yes on Prop 8-1, no on Prop 8 would have banned, would have affirmed the right for same-sex marriage to resume. We were active and played a leadership role in that. Unfortunately, the voters of California did, pass Prop 8, essentially and effectively banning same-sex marriages. So we've been at this for over a decade, albeit through the legislative front, at the ballot in 2008 and beyond. Our organization has passed 90 pieces of legislation here in the state of California. We're actually the most protected state for LGBT people in the country. So beyond the marriage debate, we're really excited to start talking about the epidemic of bullying in our country, the senior issues, et cetera. But yes, we were active in the Prop 8 campaign, and unfortunately, the voters of California voted yes to pass the measure. However, that's irrelevant today.
Right. They were misled. We all know.
Exactly. So we're excited about that. And, folks here in our office are ecstatic. We're outside in our West Hollywood office on the street with signs. It's a very, very exciting day for LGBT Californians and nationwide.
I wish I could be in West Hollywood today. I can only imagine. Are there already crowds forming?
Yeah, there are. We actually had about 50 people here with a viewing party. And actually statewide, there's different rallies taking place tonight in celebration. If you go to our website, etca.org, and go to the right, we have Prop 8 decision rallies that are taking place throughout California through our coalition partners. So we definitely encourage folks to take part in this historic moment and participate in one of those near them.
We have that linked at equalityradio.net under our Supreme Court coverage, and I will be speaking at the rally in San Luis Obispo that will be held at the courthouse here. Just a short speech. They're trying to get as many people talking as possible, and I will have been speaking for 4 hours straight, so I'm glad to only have to do a little.
But you know what? It's an exciting day to have the energy to do it.
Yes.
We're happy to talk to anyone and to spread the great news today. And then again, this is probably one of the most historic and significant days for civil rights in this country, specifically with regard to LGBT Californians and the United States, but really beyond. It's such a momentous occasion, historic decision for everyone who cares about social justice in this country.
Hey, Jesse, of the various ways the court could have ruled on Prop 8, clearly they could have ruled to say that it was bad across the board and opened marriage equality nationwide. But of the other options, how does this one rank? And does it affect any other states that have similar laws like Prop 8?
No. So, the court did not take a broad ruling on the decision. They only ruled on the Prop 8 case specifically and ruled that the folks who brought the case forward did not have standing. So it does not necessarily impact other states. However, I think, we've seen, I think the count is now 12 states, 13, I guess, if you count California. I may be off on that number, but who now have marriage for same-sex couples. And, something we haven't talked about is DOMA being struck down as well, which essentially affords same-sex couples or same-sex marriages, folks in those marriages, rather, with the same, benefits and freedoms that their heterosexual counterparts have as well. So it is just a historic day for everyone in this country, I think, on all fronts.
It really is. And we've tossed around the number of 18,000 marriages that took place within 2008 prior to the passage of Prop 8. Equality California, do they have any solid numbers on that? I know it's a hard one to track. I know I'm one of those 18,000, but we just always throw it out like it's a set number. But that's really just a guess, right?
Yeah, that's the number we're hearing. There was a 173-day window in which, same-sex couples could marry before Prop 8 passed. So that's the number we've been using, is 18,000 or so. And actually, we've been featuring couples leading up to this decision, through our blog and our emails, and just the diversity of folks that are representative of the state, the unique stories of folks who want to raise families, who are adopting, who are just really. We're waiting for today's decision, and now at least 3 couples we featured after today, I'm sure, are going to be going back to getting their marriages intact. So it's just, we're excited here for them and for everyone else waiting.
Jesse, what are the emotions like there at Equality California? I'm just reading some tweets right now from Michelangelo Signorelli and a couple of other people who said that they got emotional on the air and weren't expecting that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of folks here, like you had mentioned when we started, this organization's been really on the forefront here in California, pushing the issues, and has, led, in our opinion, to a lot of other states taking on the issue as well. Folks who are in this room this morning have been working on the issue for years and years. So, for the government to finally affirm our freedom to marry is just, an emotional feeling. I mean, you put so much time, energy, and of yourself into an issue that essentially was affirmed today. That's huge. There's such a personal connection. This isn't, people like to talk about the gay agenda. This isn't an agenda. These are people's lives. And a lot of folks forget that. So today the emotions were high. People in our organization were ecstatic. We're tearful with joy. It was just happiness all around.
I was so busy putting together a quick 2-minute newscast that we play at the top and the bottom of the hour. I wasn't able to look at the Supreme Court split on this. It was a 5-4 decision, right?
Correct.
But it didn't fall exactly the way people thought it would? Is that what I've read?
To be honest, I haven't done an analysis on it. I've been doing media calls all morning.
You're like me, right?
Yeah, so I don't want to get wrong information on that. But yeah, there's a 5-4 split as far as we know. Which, we're counting our blessings. It's a victory. Marriages are going to be restored in California. We'll take that any day.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that Equality California, just because this has now been won, isn't giving up the fight. You're shifting things to bullying, which really, I think, is... I had a guest on Equality Radio a couple of weeks ago who was driving home the point that the gay community has spent too much time on this marriage equality issue, and that there are far more pressing issues like job security and bullying. I would agree that those are incredibly pressing issues. Today, I wouldn't want to take the spotlight off marriage equality for anything, but I'm glad to hear that Equality California is not going to drop the ball now that a big challenge has been won.
Right, and it's something that a lot of folks forget, and there's not a better word for it, but, it's not. There are other issues that aren't as sexy in the media or the like. And Equality California, for the last decade or so, like I mentioned at the beginning of this interview, we've passed 90 pieces of legislation that are protecting and improving the lives of LGBT Californians.
Right on.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. And, depending on what part of the state you're looking at, it really just depends on what the issues are. But we're going to keep forward, and we're excited to continue working.
Jesse, I know you have a lot more to do. We'll let you go now. Jesse Melgar, Equality California, EQCA.org. Thank you so much for your hard work, and please thank everyone that you work with there.
Great. Thank you all for having me on.
Equality Radio. Join the conversation. Give us a call. 424-272-6365. Equality Radio.
This tweet just in from Hillary Rosen, political analyst, says that Barack Obama called Edie Windsor, said to her that her and Thea's story was beautiful and changed the country. We're back in just a moment. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool, meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org.
Imagine a world where bullying isn't considered a normal part of childhood.
A world where I'm not afraid to go to school.
To speak out.
To be myself.
A world where I'm not afraid to be caught alone.
Come on, punk.
We have the power to stop the bullying. Speak out.
Speak up.
Educate.
Find out what to look for and how you can make a difference at bullying.org.
Bullying is not kids being kids.
It's not about good homes
Or bad homes.
It's not a normal part of growing up. I shouldn't be afraid to get on the school bus.
To turn on my computer.
Or walk to my locker. Did you know that a bully will stop his or her behavior in 10 seconds when their peers speak up?
Use your voice.
Hey, leave him alone.
We have the power to stop bullying.
Find out more at bullying.org,
bullying.org.
where you're not alone.
We're not alone.
Where you're not alone.
Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool, meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Randall White on Q Talk America. Equality Radio.
49 minutes past the hour. Great to have you with us here, everyone, on this historic day in the United States and here in California, where we had a taste of marriage equality, and then it went away because of Proposition 8. And now marriage equality is on the return. Very exciting for us. I'm your host, Randall White. You are listening exclusively on Q Talk America to our live coverage of the Supreme Court rulings on both Proposition 8 and the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA. Joining us on the line right now is somebody who is a business person on the forefront of this fight. We've had him on Equality Radio in the past, but I thought today would be the perfect day to have him back again. And I wish I had a bottle of your wine right now, Josh, so that we could pop it open and celebrate these rulings. Josh Stein joins us from Stein Family Wines. They have a wine out there called Same-Sex Meritage. Sounds a lot like same-sex marriage. And the proceeds, $1 from that, goes to a good cause. Hey, Josh.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, sir. So you must be ecstatic.
This is quite the day. I would say I'm probably as happy as you are, I would imagine.
Yeah. And so with marriages resuming, we just had Equality California on the show just prior to you. And we were talking about when they'll return. We have to wait for the state leaders to make that announcement, hopefully sometime later today. Could happen anytime within the next several days. You know, they have to change paperwork and stuff like that, which
yep.
When you have a state with nearly 40 million people in it, can move rather slowly. But hopefully by sometime in July, marriages will return, and a lot of those wedding parties will be serving Stein Family Wines, Same-Sex Meritage. We can only hope.
Well, that certainly would be our goal, right? For us, it's as much about kind of a political statement as about a cultural statement, right? And so in our eyes, because this is going to be still a state-by-state fight, because that's the nature of what our current sort of legislative world is, I see nothing better than seeing this wine on store shelves and always sending that message out there that, you know, there is a way to make the world better. There is a way to celebrate the good things in life. This is nothing but a good day in my book.
Well, with DOMA falling and Prop 8 falling, we've won some incredible battles. The battle's not over, and that is a good reason for you to buy a bottle of this wine, because $1 goes to Freedom to Marry, correct? I have the right organization?
Yes, Freedom to Marry is the national organization that's working on a state-by-state basis, because while the overall conversation is taking place at the federal level currently, all that really does is kind of take out that federal step, and it still has to be done in all 50 states in order to make this a true right for all Americans, essentially.
Right. And the Supreme Court was careful not to rule in that in that direction today, so we have a big fight in front of us.
Indeed, there's a certain irony given the rulings of the last week about certain kinds of rights and what not kick in. But from our perspective, what this opens up is that this now becomes a state-by-state fight, right? And so activists of any kind, particularly progressive activists, they're driven by a need for money to be able to spread the message. That's just the reality of living in 2013. And our logic is, why not use the power of commerce for good? If you're going to buy wine anyway, and who wouldn't? Wine is good and helps you celebrate life. Why not also support a brand that is supporting the community, that's working to make it possible for all people to enjoy the benefits that we have?
I just love that it's coming from a vintner, a winery, because the wine industry has tended to run a little on the conservative side of things, and maybe because it's an ag business, I'm not sure, but it's typically been a male-dominated industry. Women have had to sort of struggle to become the chief winemakers, and to go out on a limb, as you have, to show your direct support for marriage equality, I think deserves a hats off sort of thing.
Well, we thank you. We appreciate that. I guess from our perspective, what we see this as is it's simply about using our ability to make change in the world to fight for what we believe in, which is equality for all people. You know, I was not young enough to be having this kind of conversation in the 1950s, but I certainly am old enough to be having this conversation in, you know, the 20-teens.
Right.
And in my perspective, you either stand for what you believe is right or you don't. And so for us, there was no hesitation. And from the responses that we've gotten from fellow vintners, from other people in the wine trade, we literally have had no one say to us, question us, ask us why we would be doing this. If anything, it's more the opposite. Right on. Why didn't someone think of this first? And what I would say is what I have appreciated the most is the fact that people have seen that we're not trying to do this as a gimmick. This isn't, the current term I believe is pink washing. Right? We're not trying to sell ourselves as something that we're not. We support causes. We support lots of different causes. And so this was one of the ones that we felt no compunction whatsoever about getting behind. How can you not be behind love for everybody? That's just an obvious thing in my life.
I hadn't heard that. Pink washing, just like greenwashing, where companies try to sell themselves as being environmental just to sell a product, even though the product may or may not be environmental. But pink washing, that's interesting. But no, you've shown a history of being this sort of business.
Well, I think, and that's kind of what it comes down to, right? I mean, progressive causes always run into this issue about what does it mean to be authentic. And ironically, wine often runs into this as well, about what is an authentic wine, what is a good wine. My logic is always the same. It's what you enjoy, it's what you like, what you're willing to buy, and what you're willing to support. And if you believe in freedom, if you believe in the idea that American citizens should all have the same equal rights,
right,
and you believe that love is for all, it's a really easy and simple kind of equation for me, right? I mean, as a winemaker, as a vintner, we try to reduce complexity as much as we can, because complexity can make things trickier than they need to be, let's say. And you can lose sight of sort of the basics of what you're trying to make happen here. I see this as no different. And so when we were able to take a product that we stand behind, that we know is a great wine, and we're able then to put a message on it that says out to the world, this is what we stand for, that's a great combination.
Josh, continue.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I think if more companies, it's not about sort of where you stand, but that you stand, right? It's not about being conservative for the sake of being conservative. If you have certain beliefs, then you should be able to stand behind them and then compete in the world of commerce with the rest of us. And I would argue that the consumer makes the ultimate decision there. And based on the responses that we've seen, overwhelmingly, consumers believe that love is for all, and the best way you can celebrate that, A, is getting behind decisions like today that say it's for everybody, and B, supporting companies that also are willing to literally put their bottom line where that counts.
So true. You know, we do, as humans, we have like a group mentality sort of thing. And if everyone's on one side, we're a little afraid to branch out. But as soon as people start branching out and showing, hey, it's okay to be on this side, and actually this is the better side to be on, as you've done, I'd be happy to see a lot of competition in this area. And I really can't thank you enough for being one of the front runners. Josh Stein with Stein Family Wines, samesexmeritage.com is where you find the product. Josh, enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
Thank you. You too. Viva la love.
All right, stick around, everyone. We have 3 more hours with some incredible guests coming up here on Equality Radio exclusively on Q Talk America. I'm your host, Randall White, and we are back in just a moment. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex. Open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org. You're listening to Equality Radio on Q-Talk America, equalityradio.net, qtalkamerica.com.
It is the top of the hour and time for the Equality Radio News Update. Today's historic Supreme Court rulings on both the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA, and California's Proposition 8. President Obama may have said it best with his tweet following the court's striking down of DOMA 5-4, tweeting, "Today's DOMA ruling is a historic step forward for hashtag marriage equality, hashtag love is love." That's a pretty hip president. The ruling means same-sex couples who are legally married in the states where they live will now have those marriages recognized by the federal government as well. That has great implications. Mary at SCOTUS blog wrote this morning, "Perhaps for the first time ever, many people will be eager to file their taxes next April the 15th. I'm not so sure about that, but I can tell you it'll be a lot easier for me and my husband. To be clear, however, this ruling does not, underscore not, establish a constitutional right to same-sex marriage. It was important to the outcome that the couple in this case was legally married under state law in New York. The equal protection violation arose from Congress's disrespecting that decision by the state of New York to allow such a marriage. Edith Windsor had sued the government over more than $300,000 she was required to pay in taxes after the death of her spouse. Had Windsor been married to a man, she would not have had to pay those taxes, and now, after this ruling, she won't have to after all, and many others that are in similar situations. As for Proposition 8, it's a little less clear, but marriage equality should be returning to California. As the justices ruled, the Ninth Circuit Court was without jurisdiction to consider the appeal. Now, this is going to be legalese here. The judgment of the Ninth Court is vacated, and the case is remanded with instructions to dismiss the appeal for lack of jurisdiction. Huh? Well, like with DOMA, the ruling is similar to what was expected. However, the justices voting weren't what people expected. Legal experts differ on the precise legal and practical effect of such a ruling. But many say the trial court's decision would survive, and that either as a consequence of the decision or the actions of state officials, same-sex marriages in California would resume. We've seen that they could resume as early as the end of next month, the end of July. All right, this is from Amy Howe with SCOTUS blog, and she puts it in, well, somewhat plain English. This is her take on Hollingsworth versus Perry, which was the Prop 8 case. The challenge to the constitutionality of California's Proposition 8, which bans same-sex marriage. After the two same-sex couples filed their challenge to Proposition 8 in federal court in California, the California government officials, who would normally have defended the law in court, declined to do so. So the proponents of Proposition 8 stepped in to defend the law. And the California Supreme Court, in response to a request by the lower court, ruled that they could do so under state law. But today, the Supreme Court held that the proponents do not have the legal right to defend that law in court. As a result, it held the decision by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit Court, the Intermediate Appellate Court, has no legal force, and it sent the case back to that court with instructions for it to dismiss the case. Any more clear for you now? Rallies are being held from coast to coast throughout the United States at this hour and are scheduled into the day and evening. You'll find them everywhere, from smaller, less gay-friendly towns like Helena, Montana, and Charleston, West Virginia, to LGBT hotspots, including New York and San Francisco. Keep it right here for live coverage from Equality Radio, exclusively from Q Talk America. I'm Randall White, and we're back after this very short break. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool, meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Equality Radio. Equality Radio.
Fabulous.
Now, here's your host, Randall White. Randall White on Q Talk America.
6 minutes past the hour on this historic Wednesday, June the 26th. Great to have you with us, everyone. If you're listening on Q Talk America, a big hello to you. And right now I'm waving to the camera in the corner of the room for those of you watching on Ustream. Great to have you here. EqualityRadio.net or QTalkAmerica.com. 2 ways to join us. A big thank you to everyone helping out on the show today. Anthony Renaro is working our audio and juggling other things. Fidel Angel, is that right? Yeah, good enough. Just joining us. He's placing the calls, and my husband, Ricardo Teodosio, is off camera right now. You can't really see him. He's waving. Ricardo's here as moral support. Great to have you with us, everyone. We're in a very good mood, as you can imagine, because things are just looking good. Broadcasting from downtown San Luis Obispo, halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles, in the land of what once was Prop 8. But no, that's gone, and we should find out from state officials, hopefully later today, as to what will happen regarding marriage equality here in the state. How soon will people be able to tie the knot again? Sooner is better in my book. And then, of course, the other big case today that affects my marriage to Ricardo, and that is DOMA falling as well. Well, you may remember the big campaign that went underway when everyone was when these arguments were before the Supreme Court. Everybody on Twitter and Facebook changing their little icons to a red square with an equality sign inside. That was started by the Human Rights Campaign. And joining us on the line right now is the Deputy Press Secretary for the Human Rights Campaign, Paul Gugary, who also happens to be a friend of mine from my days as an anchor in Madison, Wisconsin. Hey, Paul.
Hey, Randall. Great reunion.
It's so nice to speak with you in these circumstances. Last time we were in Washington, D.C., my husband and I didn't get a chance to hook up with you. We tried on a couple of occasions, but it didn't turn out. But we're connected now, and it couldn't be over a better topic.
I'm so happy to be here. What a great day.
What is the mood like? You're in D.C.?
Yeah, I'm in D.C., Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make it down to the court because some of us had to stay in the office. But as I said in my Facebook status, if you're going to be stuck in an office today, the Human Rights Campaign is a pretty good place to be stuck. The mood is it's unbelievable here. Everybody is just so happy. And the thing is, though, we're already plotting what comes next. In fact, I'm going to be on a plane later this afternoon. We'll be in Salt Lake City tomorrow morning, where we're going to hit a red state because it's time to double down and bring equality everywhere.
Yeah, and I like to see that in some of the more recent races, the money coming out of that red state, Utah, the spigot's been turned off to some degree when it comes to marriage equality cases.
Yeah, well, it seems like the LDS Church, the Mormons, they realized when they were big-time supporters of Prop 8 back in 2008, I think they've seen since then how much public opinion has changed. And it seems to me that they, realize that they're fighting a losing battle on this particular issue. So I think that we're not exactly sure what they're doing behind the scenes, but we're glad to see them stay quiet and not publicly oppose us.
There is a rally scheduled today in Salt Lake City. I don't know if you'll be able to attend that or not, but I was looking at the big map of the United States and all the different places where there will be rallies. And I did reach out to the organizers of the Salt Lake City event because I really want, it's just obvious that there will be big rallies in D.C., in New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, those sorts of things. That's just a given. It's the areas where you have to put your neck out in order to have a rally that I thought might be better to focus on. So we won't be speaking to the people there in Salt Lake City, but we are bringing on later next hour a guy named Kevin Ham. He's the rally organizer for Helena, Montana. And if you look at the map, there's one little pin in the upper top of the United States there that just has so much distance around it. And then, and then there's all these giant groupings of pins, of course, throughout California, the West Coast, and along the eastern seaboard. But I thought, boy, this guy, Kevin, right there in the heart of Montana, organizing a rally in the downtown. Now, that's brave.
Yeah, good for him. Yeah, and you know what? That's really what this is all about, because it's real easy for, us you and there in California and me here in D.C., such gay-friendly places that we are. So it's so easy, but, we have to remember the people who are in areas like that. Montana, of course, I'm from rural Wisconsin.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about. So we have these victories, and now we need to take them everywhere.
You know what I love about HRC is that you have long been on the bandwagon, not just for marriage equality, but another issue that's very large, and that is how people are treated in the workplace. And I think that might be the next big coming goal.
Well, yeah, absolutely. So we need to pass an inclusive ENDA, and it's unbelievable it's taken this long. Here we are, we have the majority of Americans support marriage equality, and yet Congress can't pass a simple law to prevent people from getting fired simply for being gay or transgender. That's ridiculous. So that's one of the next big battles. Of course, we work also with the private sector through our Corporate Equality Index, and we've made quite a difference, I think, in there in the Fortune 1000, the top companies, implementing LGBT-friendly policies. So that's very helpful. But yeah, we need to pass ENDA.
Yeah, there was I remember that Corporate Equality Index from years ago, more than a decade ago. It would just have a sprinkling of companies with a 100 rating, I think.
I was 13 the first year, and we're 13? Up to close to 300 now. So.
Isn't that great? Like, I remember Gap and Levi both had 100, I think, and there were a couple in there, and there were so many more down near the bottom, and that's shifted now. The ones at the bottom tend to just be the giant oil companies like ExxonMobil.
Well, ExxonMobil has actually, they're the only company with a negative score. They've got a negative 25. The only company with a negative score. But there are some oil companies that actually do pretty well, so they need to catch up.
Yeah, I'll say. And so, because of these victories there today at the Supreme Court, HRC is clearly not giving up the marriage battle.
Well, we hope to bring marriage equality to every state across the country. Today was huge. Getting rid of Section 3 of DOMA will make the federal government recognize legal marriages in the states where they are legal. But Section 2 of DOMA, what we need to remember is DOMA was not struck down. Section 3 of DOMA was struck down. Section 2 is still there, which says you can be married in California, but next door in Nevada they don't need to recognize that.
Oh, that's a big one.
Yeah, so we need to bring marriage equality to all 50 states and the territories as well.
Hey, Paul, one of your colleagues there started that whole red equality sign campaign. Was everyone a little shocked at how quickly that took off like wildfire?
Yeah, pleasantly surprised. That was pretty great to see. We're doing it again right now. That was huge. I mean, that made headlines everywhere across the country. We didn't expect that to happen, but we were surprised and happy to see that.
I remember in 2006, I still have an equality bumper sticker on the back of my car, but I was out at a little place here called the Pismo Dunes. It's not far from here, and one of the rangers came up to me and said, "Is somebody gay here?" It was like this little secret beacon that and my brother-in-law was like, "What does that mean? I see that on cars. Does that mean you're a diver?" And I'm like, "Well, maybe if it's a woman's car." At any rate, Paul Gugary, HRC.org.
Equality Radio. Join the conversation. Give us a call. 424-272-6365. Equality Radio.
Thank you for joining us, Paul. Much appreciated. All right, everyone, stick around. When we return, we are, let's see, where are we? We're headed to overseas to the UK. You're listening to Equality Radio here on Q Talk America. I'm your host, Randall White. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex. Open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org.
Imagine a world where bullying isn't considered a normal part of childhood.
A world where I'm not afraid to go to school.
To speak out.
To be myself.
A world where I'm not afraid to be caught alone.
Come on, punk.
We have the power to stop the bullying. Speak out.
Speak up.
Educate.
Find out what to look for and how you can make a difference at bullying.org.
Bullying is not kids being kids.
It's not about good homes
Or bad homes.
It's not a normal part of growing up. I shouldn't be afraid to get on the school bus.
To turn on my computer.
Or walk to my locker. Did you know that a bully will stop his or her behavior in 10 seconds when their peers speak up?
Use your voice.
Hey, leave him alone.
We have the power to stop bullying.
Find out more at bullying.org,
bullying.org.
where you're not alone.
You're not alone.
Where you're not alone.
Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex. Open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Randall White on Q Talk America. Equality Radio.
19 minutes now past the hour here on Equality Radio, heard exclusively on Q Talk America. And I want to say hello to everyone that might be tuning in for the first time today because of the historic rulings from the Supreme Court of the United States on both the Defense of Marriage Act, the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA, or Proposition 8, Prop 8, as we call it here in California. RIP to both of those. I can't tell you the number of tweets I've seen today that say that. Also on Facebook, I'm seeing a lot of that. I just posted it myself, to be honest. And so you can follow us on both Twitter and Facebook. Just search Equality Radio, and we will be the first one to pop up, if not one of the first. Great to have you with us, everyone. And you may be wondering, clearly, this is a big story here in the United States, but what are people thinking overseas, across the pond, as they say, in London, the UK? Well, we have a guest joining us today on the line to talk a little bit about that. Joseph Patrick McCormick is the news editor at Pink News UK and joins us right now with that take. Hey, Joseph.
Hi, Randall. How are you?
Good. Thank you for calling into the show today. We really appreciate it because decisions like this are big. I mean, when your neighbor France approved marriage equality recently, I think people around the world were watching that wedding that took place, and sadly, some of the rioting that went on as well. Also, all the debate that's been going on right there in the UK regarding marriage equality, big news. So how are people taking what just came down from the Supreme Court regarding DOMA and Prop 8?
Oh, excellent. I mean, it's clearly a momentous day. I mean, obviously, in the DOMA ruling is so clear cut. It's just, a total victory. Prop 8, it maybe could have been better if it had been a broader ruling. But I think, just to quote Zachary Quinto, he said that equal marriage and equality is an unstoppable wave. Like, I think it just really reinforces that. I mean, everybody's made up, and like you say, France joining Uruguay and New Zealand and our parliament. I mean, even the opposition to equal marriage here, I think, have all but accepted that it's inevitable here. And, people feel, I think, that they can, without hesitation, say that it will be law in the next year in the UK. So, yeah, I mean, everybody's just incredibly excited, and it's definitely a tremendous and a momentous day for the US, irrespective of, potential
ramifications,
battles to come. And it's obviously not the end of the fight by any means, but I think it's such a big, and it's such a
monumentous
ruling.
We both came up with the same word. Hey, Joseph, haven't there been a number of, at least one lawmaker that has come out of the closet during this debate in the UK? There was a peer a Lib Dem peer in our House of Lords who came out during the debate. She's her name escapes me. I apologize. Oh, that's okay.
But yeah, I mean, and I know that there's been a few in the US as well, state reps, and and it's such an emotional time. I mean, that's the great thing. Like, somebody in the public eye like that can, at that very emotional moment, can make that a huge decision, personal decision. It empowers people, and I think that's the way people feel because of these rulings on DOMA and Prop 8. Like, people feel that they can be a little bit more comfortable with themselves, and they can be it's a step towards feeling truly equal.
It's true, Joseph. My husband and I have been married now more than 4.5 years. We got married right before Prop 8 was passed, so our marriage is legal. We live here in California, where Prop 8 was the law of the land, and no longer, I'm happy to say. There was, for that entire period, just about every single time we would be introduced to someone, and I would say, this is my husband, Ricardo, or he would say, this is my husband, Randall. Later on, the question would come up, is your marriage truly legal? Because there was some confusion, even from people that live here in the state, on what happened to those 18,000 marriages at the time. That confusion... And the fact of the matter is, yes, it was totally legal, and the people collecting taxes at the state capitol in Sacramento certainly treated it that way. But now that Prop 8 has failed and DOMA has also been knocked down. It will be so easy for me to say now, this is my husband, and there won't be that question on the other side from people. And it's a level of validity that just really for a long time cast this dark cloud over couples like me, like the one, couple I'm in, or the marriage I'm in, and so many others. And it just, I don't know. It's such a monumentous day, and I'm so happy to have you on.
I mean, it's really, I think that's an important point, that it's, to people looking in, it's just different. It's different. Like in the UK, obviously we have civil partnership, and a lot of people now are saying, they were happy with civil unions when they passed, but the difference between being able to say, I'm in a civil union, and saying we are married. Yeah. I think people and opponents, people might play it down as just a trivial kind of, a phonetic technicality, but it's so much more than that. And it comes down to feeling equal and feeling like your marriage is the same as, your straight neighbors. And of course it is as valid, but it needs to, the law needs to recognize that. And that's why, today it's very important.
Well, Joseph, I so appreciate you sharing this opinion and insight from the UK. Are you in London?
Yeah, I'm in London now.
You're in London. When is London Pride?
London Pride, London Community Pride is this Saturday. It's a week-long thing. The events have started, and we've had the Mayor of London last night hosted a gala dinner to fundraise, and we had, Martina Navratilova, she's a former Wimbledon tennis star, a gay tennis star. So she's been hosting events, and we've had a couple of, I'm not sure how famous they are in the US. Claire Baldwin is a BBC sports broadcaster. She's openly gay, and her partner, who's also Alice Arnold, is also a broadcaster, and they've both spoken at events and held events. So and it's just gearing up for the big party on Saturday, the parade, and
I watch a lot of the BBC, actually. BBC does such a fantastic job, I believe. I compare it to, I watch PBS and I listen to NPR here in the U.S., and if I'm listening to international news, then I choose the BBC. So, and of course, I read Pink News UK all the time. Joseph,
I wouldn't expect any less.
Right. Joseph Patrick McCormick joining us from London to talk about the perspective from across the pond. Much appreciated, sir. What time is it there? You must be going on dinner time.
It's 5:30, so I'm going to be going home soon, and, I might treat myself to something nice for dinner to celebrate.
Yeah. Go grab a pint. So,
yeah, maybe I like that. Yeah.
All right, Joseph, you have a good one.
Congratulations! Thanks for having me, Randall.
Thank you.
Well done.
Really, thank you so much. All right, everyone. 27 minutes now past the hour. You're listening to Equality Radio on Q Talk America. And when we come back at the bottom of the hour, we're looping in a really good friend of mine, Tim Curran. He's a veteran LGBT radio news anchor for many, many years on Sirius Satellite. I used to file stories for him from time to time and have met up with him at many National Lesbian Gay Journalists Association. He has been covering these stories for decades and can really give us some insight on the history behind what happened today. You're listening to Equality Radio, and then after that we head to Arizona and talk to the president of Equality Arizona. And then at the top of the hour, the next hour, we're headed to Helena, Montana. Can you believe it? There's a rally scheduled today in Helena, Montana. We're going to talk to the man behind that rally here on Equality Radio. Q Talk.
Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org. You're listening to Equality Radio on QTalk America, equalityradio.net, qtalkamerica.com.
It's the bottom of the hour and time for the Equality Radio news update. Of course, topping the news today, the Supreme Court rulings on both the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA, and California's Proposition 8. President Obama may have said it best with his tweet following the court's 5-4 striking down of DOMA, tweeting, "Today's DOMA ruling is a historic step for hashtag marriage equality, hashtag love is love." The ruling means same-sex couples who are legally married will now have those marriages recognized by the federal government as well. Mary at SCOTUS blog wrote this morning, perhaps for the first time ever, many people will be eager to file their taxes next April the 15th. Edith Windsor had sued the government over more than $300,000 she was required to pay in taxes after the death of her spouse. Had Windsor been married to a man, she would not have had to pay those taxes, and now, after this ruling, she won't have to after all. As for Proposition 8, marriage equality should be returning to California as the justices ruled that the Ninth Circuit Court was without jurisdiction to consider the appeal. The judgment of the Ninth Circuit Court is vacated, and the case is remanded with instructions to dismiss the appeal for lack of jurisdiction. Legal experts differ on the precise legal and practical effects of such a ruling, but many say that the trial court's decision would survive and that either as a consequence of the decision or the actions of state officials, same-sex marriages in California would resume. I have read that they could resume as soon as the end of July. Keep it right here for more live coverage from Equality Radio, exclusively from QTalk America. I'm Randall White, and we're back after a very short break. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Equality Radio. Equality Radio.
Fabulous.
Now, here's your host, Randall White. Randall White on QTalk America.
9:33 now the time here on this very joyous Wednesday, June the 26th. Great to have you with us here on Equality Radio. Heard exclusively on QTalk America. And just going through our Twitter feed and Facebook accounts, so many people tweeting some pretty remarkable things. And I just really love the statement from the President of the United States today. He's really supporting. I've only seen something from him on DOMA. I haven't seen anything from him on Prop 8 yet. So I guess DOMA's an easy one to talk about. Pretty much everyone in the United States didn't think that was fair. But maybe a different current there when you talk about Proposition 8. Well, someone who's been covering these issues for a really long time is a friend of mine, Tim Curran. Tim is a veteran LGBT radio news director and joins us on the line right now from New York City. I think you're in New York, or did you take your vacation? Hey, Tim.
I am in New York. Hi, Randall.
Great. So I imagine you were in front of your computer watching SCOTUS blog or whatever you might have been watching as everything unfolded.
SCOTUS blog, yes, absolutely. That's, first place to go for analysis, God knows.
I know. I was watching it as closely as I could. I had some news that I needed to record and put together and some final touches for this show. So I couldn't look at everything as closely as I would have liked to, and I'm having a difficult time actually putting it together during the commercial break is here. Can you tell me how did the ruling fall on Prop 8? It was a 5-4 ruling, but I had read somewhere that it wasn't the 5 justices you would have thought it would have been. Is that true?
Yeah, that's in the case of Prop 8. The opinion was written by Chief Justice Roberts and joined by Justices Ginsburg, Breyer, Kagan, and Scalia, which is definitely an odd pairing.
Scalia?
Yeah.
Okay. That does.
And it's a little hard to explain. It's a very complicated set of concurrences and all that jazz. And to be honest with you, people are still parsing it. I did not have a chance to read everything in the opinion myself, just the justice's official summary.
Right.
So I am as sort of baffled as you, although remember that the ruling doesn't reach the merits of gay marriage.
Right.
It's just on the question of who has standing to defend Proposition 8, and the justices ruled that private parties, like the proponents of Prop 8, have no official standing before the Supreme Court or in the federal court system, whatever California's Supreme Court thinks about the matter.
In a way, they
whatever
punted
California law says about the matter.
Mm-hmm. In a way, they punted it back to California, and now it'll be up to California officials to explain when these marriage rights will be extended to same-sex couples once again. Imagine that.
Well, they don't. I mean, yes, there's a question of how long this might take, and they did remand it to the Ninth Circuit for a final disposition, which then there's all these stays in place. It's sort of complicated array of stays of the district court ruling that struck down Prop 8. So it definitely is going to go. It's just a question of how long it will take for the legal processes to conclude. But don't rush to the courthouse yet. But
right.
Prop 8 is gone because no one defended it. No one, anyway, with standing defended it.
Yeah, the state of California didn't even want to get on board. They were like, no, I don't think so. Not on that one. Now,
Governor Schwarzenegger, Governor Brown, and Attorney General Kamala Harris all declined to defend it.
Yeah.
So there was no official state. There was no one with who was accountable to voters. This is the way the Supreme Court looks at it. There was no one with any accountability defending it. The Supreme Court said private parties such as the proponents of Prop 8 have no legal standing because they have no accountability. They don't face voters. They don't have any fiduciary responsibility to anybody, and so they can't represent it in the federal court system.
And I think I read that they said we've never allowed that in the past, and we're not going to start now.
That's right. And the interesting sort of twist about this is that California's initiative, the state constitutional amendment that permits the initiative process, and the California Supreme Court agreed that yes, groups, private parties who were proponents of an initiative can defend it in the federal court system. The Supreme Court said, yeah, that's nice, but no.
But no, that's not the case. Tim,
right. Whatever California thinks about it, that's not how it works.
Right. Our initiative process here needs some tweaking. I'm not completely on board with it. Yeah, that is for sure. Tim, you're there in New York, where, of course, the DOMA case originated, and that couldn't have gone better.
Yeah, that was great news. It's quite a sweeping ruling. I mean, it still, again, relies on the Obama administration, whichever administration is in power, to work out the exact details, as these things pretty much always do. So DOMA is definitely dead, but the devil's in the details. Like, there's some question, for example, as to whether or not the administration might defend DOMA as it pertains to immigration law. Now,
I was wondering about immigration law when this ruling came down. I haven't addressed it yet here on the show, but I'm glad you brought it up because I was wondering how that would affect immigration law, especially if you're in a state where marriage is legal and you marry someone from another country.
Yeah, it's up to things like immigration are up to, in many respects, are up to the executive branch. So, technically speaking, the Obama administration could decide to still defend DOMA as it regards immigration, because this is a case that has to do with state powers,
right,
and not respecting the state. So I'm not entirely certain that that it's a done deal. However, as a political matter, this is a Democratic administration that has sort of made no bones about being gay-friendly. So I would be somewhat surprised if they decided to defend DOMA regarding immigration.
Yeah, we could have worse people in the executive office currently when it comes to
if it were a
an issue like
Republican
this.
administration, it would be a real question. I don't think it's necessarily a real question in this case.
No, I can tell you this much. Next April 15th is going to be a lot easier for me and my husband than it was this year.
Yeah, you had to file like 3 different versions of your tax return, or had to do 3 different tax returns.
It was so ridiculous, and we've had to do it for years now. And each time I'm at the table pulling my hair out and yelling and screaming and kicking and being mad, and I kept saying,
Do you use a professional? I know a lot of people in your position just sort of throw up their hands and go to a professional tax preparer.
We did use a professional 2 years ago. This past year, we used TurboTax, and I wanted to go one route, and TurboTax kept pushing me to go a safer other route. But I was...
Has TurboTax actually been revised to deal with...
Yes.
Peculiarity?
Yes, but it wasn't the first year. The first year I filed taxes was like nothing I've ever tried to do before, and I hope I'm never held accountable for those numbers because I'm pretty certain that they're totally wrong. But that first year.
Well, if you get audited, that's when you go find a professional preparer. I guess.
Exactly, Tim. So there are rallies, of course, all over the United States, even in some of the smallest towns. New York, I imagine, will throw a wing dinger today.
I expect that, plans are already underway. In fact, I'm sure they've been underway from the last couple of weeks. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen or what the details are. I've been focusing more on the legal picture, but, all you got to do is go online and you can find out where to show up and when and bring your signs and funny hats.
That's right. In fact, we have a link at equalityradio.net. Under our Supreme Court coverage, you can click on a map that will show you. I'm trying to remember who provides that map. I think it's freedomtomarry.org. If you click on their map, it'll give you a big Google map of the United States. You'll see tons of little red pins that are dropped down, even in states like Utah and Montana and Idaho, and all throughout the South as well, places where you wouldn't typically imagine it. There are rallies being held today, wherever you might be listening right now. I highly recommend that you get out there and show that this was these were positive decisions by the Supreme Court of the United States. Tim Curran, thank you so much for joining me today on the show. It's so nice to hear your voice, and I look forward to when I can see you in person again really soon.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right, and go enjoy your vacation before you start work again.
I'm enjoying it as fast as I can.
All right. Take care, Tim.
Equality Radio. Join the conversation. Give us a call. 424-272-6365. Equality Radio.
And when we return, we are headed to one of those red states, Arizona. We'll speak with Equality Arizona there to find out what's next for that state. You're listening to Equality Radio here on Q Talk America, and we're back in just a moment. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex. Open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org.
Imagine a world where bullying isn't considered a normal part of childhood.
A world where I'm not afraid to go to school.
To speak out.
To be myself.
A world where I'm not afraid to be caught alone.
Come on, punk.
We have the power to stop the bullying. Speak out.
Speak up.
Educate.
Find out what to look for and how you can make a difference at bullying.org.
Bullying is not kids being kids.
It's not about good homes or bad homes.
It's not a normal part of growing up. I shouldn't be afraid to get on the school bus.
To turn on my computer.
Or walk to my locker. Did you know that a bully will stop his or her behavior in 10 seconds when their peers speak up?
Use your voice.
Hey, leave them alone. We have the power to stop bullying.
Find out more at bullying.org.
Bullying.org.
Where you're not alone.
Where you're not alone.
Where you're not alone.
Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex. Open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Randall White on Q Talk America, Equality Radio.
9:49 now the time here in the Pacific time zone. What does that make it, noon? No, wait, 9, 10, 11, 12. I always have to do my math. It is a 12:49 Eastern. Wherever you are, it is a terrific Wednesday, June the 26th, as we got some pretty incredible rulings from, expected but incredible, rulings from the Supreme Court of the United States today on both Prop 8 and DOMA. I'm your host, Randall White. You can watch us 5 days a week here from 3 to 4 Pacific at equalityradio.net and heard exclusively on qtalkamerica.com. And joining us on the line right now with a perspective from the Southwest, Arizona, is Rebecca Winninger. She is the president of Equality Arizona. And welcome to the program, Rebecca.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you're on your own program as well on Q Talk America called The Agenda. It is my favorite show outside of my own. you really just, I just love politics. And so listening to The Agenda is fantastic. You're on Monday nights? No,
actually, we'll be on tonight, Wednesday. We're on Wednesday nights, 7:30 Arizona time. So depending on where we are in the spectrum, it's either Pacific or Mountain.
So that's great. Then when people are finished listening here, they just have to stick around for a little bit, and then they can hear the agenda perspective.
Exactly. Listen to your show, go have a cup of coffee, have lunch, relax, do a few fist bumps, and then come back for the agenda tonight. Yeah.
I like that. So Arizona is one of those states that it falls into the red column, and I'm wondering, I imagine there's a rally, right, in Phoenix, where you are, and then what do you think the general political take is there? Like when you walk into a grocery store today, are people like upbeat, like, yeah, that was great? Or is it just sort of, no one's really paying attention?
So far everybody I've talked to, which is probably a little bit skewed, is very upbeat about this. I think Arizona hopefully is finally understanding that this is more than just two people of the same sex being able to go and get married here. For us, it's an economic issue.
Right.
I mean, you look at Arizona, our branding sucks, really. And we have SB 1070 that goes against the immigrant population.
Yeah.
We have wonderful politicians who call our anti-discrimination ordinance the bathroom bill. State legislatures who want you to be able to produce your birth certificate in order to walk in and use a public restroom. And we were able to defeat a religious freedom restoration expansion that basically would have declared open season on the LGBT population here.
You still have Sheriff Arpaio running around too?
Oh yeah, we do. But he's the least of my worries. So
yeah, right.
But and people don't understand that survey after survey shows young, dynamic, educated workforce wants diversity, and companies aren't going to move here as long as we're seen as intolerable and unforgiving. And, get companies to move here.
Yeah.
It increases our economy, increases the tax base, increases healthcare and schools, and, but our God love them, our Republicans here who are just all about budget, they don't get that, so... one more thing to talk about. So,
Rebecca, we had Equality California on the show a couple of hours ago to talk about their whole push has been, this Prop 8 thing, because it's been here in California, and that's been what they've been working on. You don't have a Prop 8 there in Arizona, so I'm wondering what is your main focus? Are you working on some legislation?
Well, we clearly have three routes. We can either go judicial, ballot initiative, or legislative. And frankly, the way our legislature is currently made up, I don't see that route happening anytime soon. 2016, 2020, with different elections would probably be the earliest. So that leaves us with judicial and ballot initiative.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, over the next few days, over the next few weeks, as more and more definitive definitions really come out from what these rulings mean, then we'll be able to sit down with our coalition here and assess what's the best measure for Arizona to go forward. But, we're committed to making sure that everybody here has equal civil rights. sometime in my lifetime at least.
Yeah.
Because I want to see it done, damn it.
Right. Yeah. Make Arizona be the first red state to fall.
Oh,
I guess
that would be lovely.
I guess Iowa would have been that, but the courts did that, so that was a whole different thing. But Rebecca, is the Arizona initiative process as messed up as California's? I mean, both sides use it. The liberals and the conservatives use this initiative process to get things passed through. But they get things through that aren't constitutional on a regular basis. There needs to be some sort of floodgate that holds back the ones that just won't stand up after they're passed by the voters. And then after they're passed here, then you constantly hear the politicians saying, well, that was the will of the voters. Well, it doesn't matter what the will of the voters was if it's not constitutional.
Yeah, and I don't have an answer for that because I completely agree with you. I mean, we have people in our legislature that year after year push bills through, get them passed, and they're unconstitutional. And their response is, well, it's not my job to determine constitutionality. But how much money are you wasting because you're having then to fight it in court? And, we just scratch our head with people like that. And clearly our job then is to make sure that they don't get reelected.
So your Arizona Pride has already passed. You need to have it in a cooler time of the year, I imagine. Like a month or two ago, right? You had Pride?
Yes, our Pride is in the first couple weeks in April, actually. So.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you had Pride now, people would be wilting like like melted cheese all over the parking lot.
They would be extremely happy, but they would be they would be toast because there's actually a concern that it's going to hit 120 here on Saturday. So if you can imagine a very overheated but happy Pride, that's what would be happening here.
120, is that all?
Yeah,
I'm just teasing.
but it's a dry heat.
But it's a dry heat until next month, right? When the monsoons come in and mix a little moisture with those temperatures.
Yes. So then it'll be 115 and 70% humidity. I don't know why I live here, but that's the way it is.
Well, Arizona is a beautiful state, and I've been there several times and just enjoy it immensely. And you do have your progressive pockets, like I was discussing with our colleague Joe Duganzik earlier on this show. Tucson recently passed some protections for transgendered people, which I just think is outstanding.
Yeah, we do, and I mean it's because the state's not willing to do what it needs to do. We have great allies in Tucson and Phoenix, Bisbee, Tempe, Sedona, Flagstaff that step up and do the right thing. I mean, even Flagstaff this year stepped up and got their anti-discrimination ordinance passed. So it's happening slowly but surely all across here, and we're just excited.
Well, we're very happy to have you on the phone. We'll have to have you on Equality Radio more often. Rebecca Winninger, one of the hosts of The Agenda, on later tonight here on Q Talk America. So make sure you catch that show. I'm sure there will be lots of great talk going on. Rebecca, thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your Wednesday.
Thank you.
All right, stick around, everyone. We still have more left. 2 more hours left, as a matter of fact, of live coverage of today's big Supreme Court rulings. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex. Open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas. Can we have your attention for a moment?
Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org. You're listening to Equality Radio on Q-Talk America, equalityradio.net, qtalkamerica.com.
It is the top of the hour and time for the Equality Radio news update. Today's historic Supreme Court rulings on both the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA, and California's Proposition 8. President Obama may have said it best with his tweet following the court's striking down of DOMA 5-4, tweeting, "Today's DOMA ruling is a historic step forward for hashtag marriage equality, hashtag love is love." That's a pretty hip president. The ruling means same-sex couples who are legally married in the states where they live will now have those marriages recognized by the federal government as well. That has great implications. Mary at SCOTUS blog wrote this morning, "Perhaps for the first time ever, many people will be eager to file their taxes next April the 15th. I'm not so sure about that, but I can tell you it'll be a lot easier for me and my husband. To be clear, however, this ruling does not, not establish a constitutional right to same-sex marriage. It was important to the outcome that the couple in this case was legally married under state law in New York. The equal protection violation arose from Congress's disrespecting that decision by the state of New York to allow such a marriage. Edith Windsor had sued the government over more than $300,000 she was required to pay in taxes after the death of her spouse. Had Windsor been married to a man, she would not have had to pay those taxes, and now, after this ruling, she won't have to after all, and many others that are in similar situations. As for Proposition 8, it's a little less clear, but marriage equality should be returning to California, as the justices ruled. The Ninth Circuit Court was without jurisdiction to consider the appeal. Now, this is going to be legalese here. The judgment of the Ninth Court is vacated, and the case is remanded with instructions to dismiss the appeal for lack of jurisdiction. Huh? Well, like with DOMA, the ruling is similar to what was expected. However, the justices voting weren't what people expected. Legal experts differ on the precise legal and practical effect of such a ruling. But many say the trial court's decision would survive, and that either as a consequence of the decision or the actions of state officials, same-sex marriages in California would resume. We've seen that they could resume as early as the end of next month, the end of July. All right, this is from Amy Howe with SCOTUS blog, and she puts it in, well, somewhat plain English. This is her take on Hollingsworth versus Perry, which was the Prop 8 case. The challenge to the constitutionality of California's Proposition 8, which bans same-sex marriage. After the two same-sex couples filed their challenge to Proposition 8 in federal court in California, the California government officials, who would normally have defended the law in court, declined to do so. So the proponents of Proposition 8 stepped in to defend the law. And the California Supreme Court, in response to a request by the lower court, ruled that they could do so under state law. But today, the Supreme Court held that the proponents do not have the legal right to defend that law in court. As a result, it held the decision by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit Court, the Intermediate Appellate Court, has no legal force, and it sent the case back to that court with instructions for it to dismiss the case. Any more clear for you now? Rallies are being held from coast to coast throughout the United States at this hour and are scheduled into the day and evening. You'll find them everywhere, from smaller, less gay-friendly towns like Helena, Montana, and Charleston, West Virginia, to LGBT hotspots, including New York and San Francisco. Keep it right here for live coverage from Equality Radio, exclusively from Q Talk America. I'm Randall White, and we're back after this very short break. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool, meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Equality Radio. Equality Radio.
Fabulous.
Now, here's your host, Randall White. Randall White on Q Talk America.
10:06, the time right now here on the West Coast. What does that make it? 1:06 Eastern. Great to have you with us, everyone, here on this June the 26th, 2013. A very historic day, to be sure, as we learned, 2.5 hours ago or so, the fates of both Proposition 8 in California and the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA. I am your host, Randall White, and we come to you live each and every day, Monday through Friday, from 3 until 4 o'clock here on Q Talk America. But today we have special coverage, a greatly expanded show starting at 8 a.m. Pacific all the way through the noon hour, and then those 4 hours will loop around in case you missed any of them and continue to air on Q Talk America. And then the agenda airs tonight at 7, I believe. And it's an all-new, brand new show that will be full of great information out of Arizona. But we want to send you to equalityradio.net, where you can find a link to all of our different guests who we're having on the show today. And if you go to the Freedom to Marry spokesperson and click on that, you can find an interactive map there that will show you all the different rally places throughout the United States. And of course, you'll find ones in some really typical places like San Francisco, West Hollywood, New York City, Palm Springs, of course, Key West, Florida, all the typical places and large cities, urban centers where you would find large LGBT populations. There will be rallies held also in places like Salt Lake City, Charleston, West Virginia, and the most isolated rally in the entire lower 48 states, because there are some isolated ones that will be held today in Alaska, but in the lower 48, the most isolated one is being held in Helena, Montana. And joining us on the line right now is the organizer of that event, Kevin Ham. Kevin, welcome to the program, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Very happy to have you, and I'm wondering what sort of turnout you expect, or have you already had?
Well, we had the event. We just got together this morning. We're sitting on the steps of our Capitol building waiting for the ruling to come down. There were about 15 of us that showed up. It was so last minute, and it's at such an odd time that was actually a pretty good turnout.
I think so.
And, the thing is we just had Pride a couple weeks ago here. We have another event coming up this weekend in Bozeman called Interchange. And I suspect that it's going to be a lot more celebratory than it was going to be before. So
yes.
It's interesting.
Kevin, what's the population of Helena?
About 30,000.
About 30,000. And so I don't know if you've seen the map I'm talking about, but your little pin drop is all by itself.
Yeah, actually, I did see the map. What's funny is I went to Joe My God, because I'm an avid reader of it.
I love his blog.
And saw the map yesterday, and I was like, oh, there's like 7 states, and it's the poor little square states where I'm living, and I'm like, we must do something. So then I posted the event and sent Joe a tweet, and he tweeted it out again. Hey, look, there's an event in Montana. There's nothing in Idaho, nothing in North or South Dakota or Wyoming, but, we got you covered in Montana.
Yeah, well, good for you. I'm glad you do. It's a beautiful country, and no reason that we shouldn't feel as out and proud there. However, I imagine in some cases there could be a little danger element with that.
I don't know. I grew up here, and it was certainly that case when I was growing up, but that was the late 80s, early 90s. And then I left and went around the country, and when I came back in 2006, a lot had changed. I mean, there's still definitely some bigots, but there are bigots everywhere. But there are far more supporters and allies than you would imagine. And you're talking about a state, our entire state barely has 1 million people in it. We're the 4th largest state by landmass, and we're one of the least populous around. And, just those two facts make everything that we do in the state different than just about every place else. So you have a lot of, very rural states, but they're small, or you have a lot of very popular states that are, like California, huge. But having, so few people in such a large area, it actually becomes very interesting because you kind of do know everybody around you. And it's always interesting to me to find out how many people still remember me from, 20, 30 years ago when we first met. And they're like, oh, my God, you look great. And it's very bizarre.
So we shouldn't all be picturing a Brokeback Mountain sort of scene where it's that level of danger is past.
I think so. I mean, for the most part, there haven't been really. I don't think there's been any gay bashing recently. Knock on wood.
Yeah. I mean, other cities like New York have seen it, recently. So I guess it doesn't matter where you are, like you said.
Right, but the big thing is that we've worked very hard to get what we have for equality. We have a long way to go. Montana does have the constitutional amendment in place that stops us from being equal in this state, and that was passed in 2003, so it's relatively new, but it needs to go. It's 10 years old and it's wrong.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, Kevin. With the ruling on Prop 8, how does that affect what you have in place in Montana there? Does it knock at it at all?
It does in a way. There's a couple of lawsuits that are actually in front of the Montana Supreme Court. We've been waiting on their decision, but I think they're probably going to punt and send it up to the Ninth Circuit. The Ninth Circuit has already ruled on Prop 8 in a similar fashion as what we would expect them to rule on the Montana constitutional amendment. But of course, today the Ninth Circuit's ruling was vacated. So
yeah,
who knows what's exactly going to happen? But those cases are in process, and because they're already at the step where they could be handed off to the Ninth Circuit, I think we're in good shape for that. So it could be interesting. It could be very quick that this gets resolved in the next year or two.
So Montana is covered by the Ninth Circuit all that way. There's not one in Denver that's closer?
No, well, there is a circuit that covers Denver, but I'm not sure if it's the Ninth or not. And it's weird that the Ninth Circuit covers so much, but remember, we have fewer people in our entire state than are in the suburbs of San Francisco. So
right, yeah. Well, you'd be lucky to be covered by the Ninth Circuit because they would give you a favorable ruling in most cases.
Exactly. Well,
they're known for that.
And that's where it'll be interesting. One of the other things that happened recently is the AG's office changed party hands. It went from being a Democrat, who is now our governor, to being Tim Fox, who is a Republican, and he is very anti-marriage equality.
Oh, too bad.
So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because I know that unlike California, which decided not to defend the law, our AG would not make the decision.
Wouldn't, right. It has been nice to see several Republicans across the country, though, that have gotten out of that box and said, it doesn't matter, I'm Republican because of financial reasons and all this sort of thing, but when it comes to marriage equality, I stand on that side. And I'm really, even what Murkowski out of Alaska doing that. So I think that's fantastic. Kevin Ham in Helena, Montana. Please give our best to all the 15 supporters there on the steps of the Capitol and enjoy the Pride celebration in Bozeman, right? Do I have that right?
No, it's Interchange. Pride was last week.
Oh, Interchange.
But, yeah, we do have a couple other events going on, so
awesome.
We will definitely do that. Thanks for having me on.
Stay in touch, Kevin. Great to have you on the show. We'll love to hear that angle on everything.
Equality Radio. Join the conversation. Give us a call. 424-272-6365. Equality Radio.
All right, stick around, because coming up next, we speak with the Freedom to Marry spokesperson. Thalia Zapatos joins us right after the break. You're listening to Equality Radio on Q Talk America. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex. Open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org.
Imagine a world where bullying isn't considered a normal part of childhood.
A world where I'm not afraid to go to school.
To speak out.
To be myself.
A world where I'm not afraid to be caught alone.
Come on, punk.
We have the power to stop the bullying. Speak out.
Speak up.
Educate.
Find out what to look for and how you can make a difference at bullying.org.
Bullying is not kids being kids.
It's not about good homes or bad homes.
It's not a normal part of growing up. I shouldn't be afraid to get on the school bus.
To turn on my computer.
Message. Or walk to my locker. Did you know that a bully will stop his or her behavior in 10 seconds when their peers speak up?
Use your voice.
Hey, leave him alone. We have the power to stop bullying.
Find out more at bullying.org.
Bullying.org.
Where you're not alone.
Where you're not alone.
Where you're not alone.
Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex. Open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool, meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Randall White on Q Talk America, Equality Radio.
And welcome to the program, everyone. 10:19 now the time here on this June the 26th, 2013. It is a Wednesday, and it's a big deal Wednesday, that's for sure. The Supreme Court of the United States handing down its decisions on the Defense of Marriage Act, so-called DOMA, and I should say, Proposition 8 here in California. You may have heard our interview earlier in the day when we were speaking with Josh Stein of Stein Family Wines. They have their same-sex marriage blend that if you purchase a bottle of that, it's a really good price too, by the way, I should say, less than $20. Yeah, we should get a case of it. Our producer and audio guy, Anthony, just said to me, if we, for every bottle that you buy, $1 goes to Freedom to Marry, which I just think is fantastic. Joining us on the line right now is Thalia Zapatos with Freedom to Marry, spokesperson. Thalia, welcome to the program.
Hi, thank you. So glad to be with you on such an important day.
And so I was asking our call screener, I said she pronounces it Thalia because I have a hard time not saying Thalia because of the singer.
I wish I could sing like her.
Right, I know. She's got a fantastic voice. So tell me, what's the mood like there where you are?
Well, this is just an enormous victory and an absolutely joyous day for loving married couples and their families and for equal justice under the law.
Yeah.
I mean, today the Supreme Court really affirms that all loving and committed couples who marry deserve, equal treatment. And they've also, really pushed back on the standing of Prop 8, which means very, very shortly California will return to being one of the states where marriage is legal. And that would mean 13 states and the District of Columbia representing over 30% of the U.S. population living in states where marriage is legal. So it's a pretty big day.
Yeah, I was thinking about that and how today's rulings really did intertwine because what was happening with Prop 8 then was directly affected by DOMA and vice versa and those sorts of things.
Sure, because legally married couples in the 12 states and along with the 18,000 couples who had been able to get married in California previously, they were getting their, rights and recognition through state law, but with DOMA in place, no Social Security benefits. They were required basically to lie on their federal tax returns and file separately instead of jointly. And for, binational couples who, are in love and want to get married so to keep their spouse who may have been born in another country, they were prohibited from gaining legal status for their spouse. So, overturning DOMA is absolutely huge.
I'm wondering for couples that may have on their federal tax returns said that they were married, because I know there were some people that really wanted to make a point and not lie and say, we are married. Can the federal government at this point be retroactive? Probably not, because the court just ruled that those people weren't breaking the law, that DOMA was what was unconstitutional.
We are going to have to wait now for a series of rulings, actually, and administrative actions from the Obama administration. The president has already announced that he will instruct his administration. But for those who remember that, the number of federal mentions of marriage in statutes was over 1,138. Every one of those has to, sort of go back and be cleared up. There's some federal programs that recognize the marriage based on the state the couple got married in.
which they call the place of celebration. Other federal laws refer to the state where the couple is living, the place of residence. And so, you know, if you live in a state where marriage is legal for same-sex couples, you're all clear. However, if you live in the state of Virginia and you travel to Washington, D.C. or Maryland to get married, the place of residence may also be very important. So all of this now has to be cleared up in the coming weeks and months by the Obama administration.
There will be some work on the part of attorneys.
Yes, there will, absolutely. And there's some, I guess, some legal steps to be taken as, you know, the way is cleared in California as well.
Thalia, so it says it right in the name, Freedom to Marry, but how does Freedom to Marry differ from some of the other organizations that work on these same sorts of things?
Yeah, we are a campaign organization with a single goal of winning marriage nationwide for same-sex couples. At that point, we will cease to exist and go out of business. So we see ourselves as a campaign organization, whereas some of the other prominent LGBT organizations, they're permanent organizations that work on multiple issues and have, you know, big agendas around, you know, overcoming employment discrimination and enacting, you know, full rights and benefits for transgender people. Freedom to Marry just singularly works on marriage. And, of course, we've got a lot of states ahead of us to go back and win.
I'm looking at the map on your website right now at freedomtomarry.org, and I'm noticing that even here you'll have some updates you'll have to do after today. And as soon as it's worked out legally here in California as to when marriage rights will be extended to same-sex couples, California will turn the color of Washington, Minnesota, Iowa, New York, and all of those New England states, plus the District of Columbia, Delaware, and Maryland.
Exactly. And, you know, the folks who control the map there are very specific. We only turn the color red when marriage is absolutely legal in the state. But, you know, if you add also the states where there's some other status of civil union or domestic partnership, that gets up to about 44% of the American public. So,
really?
You know, we know So we know that with polling now, we're, you know, well in the mid-50s, 55 to 58% of Americans who support marriage for same-sex couples. We've got lots of states now where there's, you know, various levels of protections, including, of course, full marriage. So what we really need to do, as you are looking at the map, is now turn our attention to where next.
Yeah. And I love the partnership that you have with Stein Family Wines, where $1 from every bottle of their same-sex Meritage goes to help support your cause.
Yeah, it was really fabulous when they reached out to us. We were very, very honored. There's a number of ways and where people, you know, do help out. For example, I'm a straight ally, and a lot of straight allies have chosen, you know, folks who want to get married and are thinking about and kind of struggling with, you know, if I live in a state where marriage is not legal for same-sex couples, you know, what should I do to show my support? And we actually have a wedding registry where, you know, gay couples or straight couples can register and say, I want, you know, you to give a gift to Freedom to Marry as a way to show our support and to help with the fight in winning the next group of states.
I couldn't agree with you more that straight allies are one of the most important group of contributors to this fight. I just got off the phone not long ago with my parents, about a half an hour ago. They were calling to congratulate me. You could hear it in their voices how happy they were with the Supreme Court rulings. They're watching online right now, I believe, this broadcast. And, you know, they didn't grow up with this as part of the norm for them, and but they have evolved very quickly, and so much of it revolves around knowing someone who is gay, and that's why I believe it's so important for people to come out, and that's where you start making your straight allies.
I agree. It's knowing someone who's gay, and our research shows having that gay person turn to the straight people in their life and say, let me tell you why this is so important.
Yeah.
And, you know, whether or not you personally want to get married, it's kind of being pro-choice about marriage and saying, I just want to make sure everyone has the chance to, and then let them make their mind up from there.
Yeah. Thalia Zapatos, with freedomtomarry.org, a wonderful website, wonderful organization. Thank you for joining us on this historic day.
Thanks for the invitation. Appreciate it. Bye.
All right, stick around, everyone. I believe just after the break, we will be chatting with Clayton Marsh. He is the organizer of the rally in the town where we're broadcasting right now, San Luis Obispo, the Gay and Lesbian Association. You're listening to Equality Radio.
Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org. You're listening to Equality Radio on QTalk America, equalityradio.net, qtalkamerica.com.
It's the bottom of the hour and time for the Equality Radio news update. Of course, topping the news today, the Supreme Court rulings on both the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA, and California's Proposition 8. President Obama may have said it best with his tweet following the court's 5-4 striking down of DOMA, tweeting, "Today's DOMA ruling is a historic step for hashtag marriage equality, hashtag love is love." The ruling means same-sex couples who are legally married will now have those marriages recognized by the federal government as well. Mary at SCOTUS blog wrote this morning, perhaps for the first time ever, many people will be eager to file their taxes next April the 15th. Edith Windsor had sued the government over more than $300,000 she was required to pay in taxes after the death of her spouse. Had Windsor been married to a man, she would not have had to pay those taxes, and now, after this ruling, she won't have to after all. As for Proposition 8, marriage equality should be returning to California as the justices ruled that the Ninth Circuit Court was without jurisdiction to consider the appeal. The judgment of the Ninth Circuit Court is vacated, and the case is remanded with instructions to dismiss the appeal for lack of jurisdiction. Legal experts differ on the precise legal and practical effects of such a ruling, but many say that the trial court's decision would survive and that either as a consequence of the decision or the actions of state officials, same-sex marriages in California would resume. I have read that they could resume as soon as the end of July. Keep it right here for more live coverage from Equality Radio exclusively from QTalk America. I'm Randall White, and we're back after a very short break. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool, meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Equality Radio. Equality Radio.
Fabulous.
Now, here's your host, Randall White. Randall White on QTalk America.
10:33 now the time here on the Pacific Coast, 1:33 Eastern. Great to have you joining us here exclusively on Q Talk America. This is Equality Radio, and I am your host, Randall White, broadcasting live from downtown San Luis Obispo. It is a little piece of paradise that falls halfway between San Francisco and Los Angeles, not far from the coast, and we just have pretty much ideal weather year-round. Sorry. But that's what we got. And it's a beautiful place to hold a rally tonight, which we will be doing, I believe, at 5 o'clock on the courthouse lawn, which is about a block and a half from us here over my right shoulder. And I will be speaking at that event, not very long, just a few minutes. But the organizer of that event is Central Coast Gala, that is the Gay and Lesbian Alliance, and then their organizer is Clayton Marsh, who is, we're told, by his people on his way. So hopefully Clayton will be able to join us this segment to talk a little bit about what is on tap for tonight's event, other than me speaking, because my voice is already starting to go. But welcome, everyone. And if you are just tuning in and haven't heard yet, the Supreme Court made two very big rulings today. One of them on the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, DOMA, striking that down so that all of those many federal benefits that are enjoyed by opposite-sex couples that are legally married in their states can now also be enjoyed by same-sex couples that are legally married in their states. What it does not do is extend marriage rights to same-sex couples in states where it is not the law. So that is an important thing to underscore, meaning that there is still a lot of work to be done by the many organizations that are out there working on such things. Proposition 8 also was punted, kicked back to the federal courts in California, saying that basically the people that brought it to before the Supreme Court didn't have a right to, which kind of makes you scratch your head and wonder, well, then why'd you take it in the first place? And then how the justices fell was a little bit surprising. The different justices on each side. I can't wait to just spend a couple of hours and read over all of the different decisions and why the people were on each side and who wanted what and those sorts of things. It will be teased apart, as you know, for the next for a long time to come. The President of the United States calling the winners on both sides, calling Edith Windsor in New York to let her know how happy he was and inspired by her and the late Thea's story. And Edie Windsor writing that she broke into tears with that. And then also the plaintiffs in the case against Proposition 8 were in front of the Supreme Court building when they got a call from the president, and that was heard live on MSNBC. The president congratulating them on their victory today, and the couple inviting the president to their upcoming wedding. So lots of stuff going on with everything. This is a great opportunity for you to call the show right now and tell us what's happening where you live. Are there rallies planned? Is there one underway? Are you at one? And how do you feel about what has come down here in terms of Proposition 8 and DOMA? The number to call is 424-272-6365. 424-272-6365. Another way to remember it is 4242 Randall. And if you're watching us online right now, you can see exactly how my name is spelled. It's Randol. It does not have the ALL at the end, so we don't want to harass someone who has a number that's really similar to to my name. But yeah, 4242 Randall, which translates to 424 424-272-6365 off the top of my head there. You can also find all of that information available at equalityradio.net and qtalkamerica.com, where we broadcast exclusively and really lucky to have several of the hosts on the show join us today. Joe Duganzik joined us in the first hour, and then Rebecca Winninger, she's the president of Equality Arizona, joined us last hour, and she will be hosting a show called The Agenda, which comes on tonight at 7 o'clock. You'll want to tune in for that because by 7 o'clock tonight, there will be a lot more analysis of these rulings that came down between 7 and 7:30 our time here on the Pacific Coast this morning. I'll tell you, I got up this morning at 6:30 and or 5:30. What am I saying? I got up this morning at 5:30, and between that time, I just had this kind of knot in my stomach. What's going to happen? There are big rulings on the way. You never know. It could be one of those days where you hear the political pundits saying, well, we didn't see that coming. As it turned out, we did see it coming. We saw it coming exactly the way that it was ruled for the most part. Prop 8, there were some question marks, but many of the people were saying that this is how it was going to be handed down. And now there are still some question marks. We don't know. We know marriage equality is coming back to the state. We don't know when and exactly how that will happen. And I'm trying to follow all the different feeds here to see if any news on that transpires. And as soon as it does, we will hand it to you immediately here on Q Talk America Equality Radio. Coming up in the next hour, I'm looking forward to this. Greg Hernandez with Greg in Hollywood joins us for a take on what's happening in West Hollywood there. And, you know, when big things like this happen, the stars have something to say about it. And so he will share some of that information with us. Then Dennis Dyson, he's the Chief Marketing Officer for the Victory Fund. The Victory Fund's number one goal is to get out LGBT politicians elected. And there's in California here, we have more elected officials than any other place in the country. That wasn't always the case, though. Not that long ago, less than a decade ago, the state of Wisconsin had more out openly elected officials, which you may not guess, but that is the case. When you count up all the city, county, state, and federal officials that run for office and put them all together, Wisconsin was way out in front. California in the last several years has moved decidedly into the front. But what we need more officials, more public officials to feel okay with that. And rulings like this by the Supreme Court make it that much easier for politicians to say, yeah, you know what? I'm gay. I'm happy with who I am. My concern is not that, but what, you know, the concerns of everybody here, you know, your finances, the schools, the, you know, all down the list of things that politicians talk about. There is a new politician on the map in Massachusetts. I know his last name is Shortino. I think it's something, I don't have it in front of me. But anyway, that's the latest LGBT candidate to come out. And we will be having him on our Equality Radio show 3 to 4, Monday through Friday, to talk a little bit about his candidacy. And it's perfectly possible for people to get elected to office. Tammy Baldwin, a good friend of mine, well, I like to think of her as a good friend. She'd probably be like, Randall who? But Tammy was my state representative in Congress when I lived in Madison. She has since gone on to become a senator. Now she's one of Wisconsin's 2 senators serving in the U.S. Senate, and she is the first openly lesbian member of Congress of the Senate. And so hats off to Tammy Baldwin. She's a wonderful person. And then the guy who took her seat is a guy named Mark Pocan. He took her seat in Congress, and he's openly gay. And I have hung out with Mark on several occasions, and he's a terrific guy. So the more the merrier we need politicians to be out there, and that's what the Victory Fund's all about. So Dennis will talk to us a little bit about that. And then I'm really looking forward to our guest at 1 hour from now. Courtney Jocelyn is a law professor at UC Davis School of Law, and she can really sort of, for lack of a better term, crunch the numbers for us in terms of this Prop 8 ruling, and DOMA for that matter. She's been preparing for this and looking at all of it, and I believe she's one of those that it's like one phone call after another today. But she was nice enough to make some time for us to discuss the legal ramifications of both of these rulings today. Probably no place in the country are there greater legal ramifications than here in California, because we're affected by both rulings today. And there may be some other states that were affected by California's ruling. We'll have to ask her about that, and will, for sure. And as always, we're taking your calls as well at 424-272-6365. You know, if you're too shy to call in, you can also go to equalityradio.net and go to our contact area. And it's very easy. You can be as anonymous as you want to be. The other area where you can send a note is at QTalk America. In fact, I'm going to head there right now. And click on into the chat room. And let's see here. Yeah. I'll just say a little hello to the chat room, and hopefully we'll get some of you chatting around.
Join the conversation. Give us a call. 424-272-6365. Equality Radio.
Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool, meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org.
Imagine a world where bullying isn't considered a normal part of childhood.
A world where I'm not afraid to go to school.
To speak out.
To be myself.
A world where I'm not afraid to be caught alone.
Come on, punk.
We have the power to stop the bullying. Speak out.
Speak up.
Educate.
Find out what to look for and how you can make a difference at bullying.org.
Bullying is not kids being kids.
It's not about good homes or bad homes.
It's not a normal part of growing up. I shouldn't be afraid to get on the school bus.
To turn on my computer.
Or walk to my locker. Did you know that a bully will stop his or her behavior in 10 seconds when their peers speak up?
Use your voice.
Hey, leave them alone. We have the power to stop bullying.
Find out more at bullying.org.
Bullying.org.
Where you're not alone.
Where you're not alone.
Where you're not alone.
Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool. Meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Randall White on Q Talk America, Equality Radio.
49 minutes past the hour here on this Wednesday, June the 26th, right? Yeah, the 26th day of June, a very historic day. As we learned several hours ago now, the fates of both Proposition 8 in California and the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA. I'm your host, Randall White, coming to you live each and every weekday here on Q Talk America. As a result of these rulings, and actually no matter how the rulings would have come down, there are a number of rallies scheduled throughout the United States, including up in Seattle. Joining us on the line right now to talk about that Seattle event is Sean Niddle with Social Outreach Seattle. You can find them online, socialoutreachseattle.com. Welcome back to the program, Sean.
Thanks for having me.
I find myself wanting to say social, like it doesn't want to come out. Social Outreach Seattle. Sean.
We get called all kinds of stuff. Somebody called us SOS all the time, so we try to say, no, it's not the same thing because it's a different program here. But, yeah, we're only a year old.
Just 1 year now.
Yeah, it's been one heck of a ride. When I put together the committee of people, and it's entertainers, activists, and journalists. So really dynamic group of people, very representative of a city like Seattle.
It's
very
been
inclusive here.
It's been too long since I've been to Seattle, more than a decade since I've been up that way. And from what I recall on my visits prior, just a beautiful city. But, boy, Seattle's really grown up.
You know, I've only been here for 4 years. I served in the U.S. Navy under Don't Ask, Don't Tell for 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I did PR for the government during that time. And I spent 8 of those years overseas while George Bush was president, so you can imagine how much fun that was doing PR then. And it's just great. So I got out and I came here. I'd never been before, and the city is amazing. It's really, really unique. Nothing looks like Seattle, and nowhere do the people act like Seattleites.
No,
so,
yeah, it's
true.
true.
I originally grew up in Vegas, so we're talking about way different, ends of the spectrum.
Do you ever watch the show Portlandia?
Yes.
It's an hysterical show, and I love how the mayor of Portland has this total complex about not being Seattle.
Right.
I think that's funny.
It's something up here like Tacoma's close to Seattle. You can't say like up there in Tacoma. It has to be down there in Tacoma.
Right.
It's south of us. How dare? It's just crazy. It's kind of funny.
What's
the politics?
Sean, what's the LGBT neighborhood there in Seattle? San Francisco has its Castro, L.A. with its West Hollywood, right. New York with its Christopher Street. What is it? What's it called there in Seattle?
Well, here it's called Capitol Hill. So everybody calls it the Hill or Cap Hill if you've lived here for a while. And Capitol Hill is basically it's an arts area, and it's changing quite a bit though because we have a lot of the old buildings coming down and some condos and things coming up.
So that, it's some people feel that maybe it doesn't look the same or feel the same, but there's still, any day of the week, I dare you not to find members of the LGBT community visible on any street corner. So it's very much the neighborhood. It's where all of our nonprofits are located. The major ones, all of the gay newspaper that's still left, Seattle Gay News, and all of the bars and clubs. So it's still very vibrant, and this is where a lot of the activism comes out of. And we knew at Soci that we had to get this neighborhood energized early, because Washington is, like many states, you have a blue area and a red area, and once you go past, you get into eastern Washington, you see that the voting is much different. So it was also another reason why Soci sprang up, because I said, I don't see everybody as excited as maybe they should be at this point. And we just wanted to put some more pride back into the neighborhood, if you will, and say, get those rainbow flags out early, let everybody know we're here. And coincidentally, when we did the march and rally for marriage, I said, well, Seattle's supportive, so let's not piss everybody off by stopping traffic and walking through the streets and screaming.
Good point.
We'll do a pre-thank you before the vote and say, thank you for being supportive. And so it was more of a show up and be happy. Worked like a charm. Everybody had a great time.
That's brilliant.
People were honking and waving instead of being mad, that we stopped traffic and everything.
I like that. Some of the different bicycle events might think about that, because it seems to definitely worked for you there. Now, the marriage equality vote that happened in November, what was the spread?
It was better than we thought. I think, I know it was like over 5 points, I believe. I mean, we really, it came down to that King County is the largest, voter pool.
Mm-hmm.
And if we had King County, corridor, we had the Tacoma, all of that, if we could get that vote out, it would really work. But, as I heard you were talking on the program before about the importance of straight allies, and we had some of the best straight allies that you can imagine working for us. I mean, our whole film crew were straight allies. A guy by the name of Drew De Niro and Daniel Hanks. Daniel Hanks is the co-founder of Soci, and he, the two of them, they were just fantastic. There is a video that we did. It's called "I'm Coming Out," and it's of Daniel Hanks. He actually stars in it, and it's about straight allies. I'd encourage all your listeners to watch it. It's a head trip, but when you're done with it, you go, "Whoa, what just happened?" Because all of these stereotypes are in it.
Yeah.
But he runs around, and we film him with Seattle landmarks in the background. It's really great. But the straight allies is who pushed this vote over the edge here, and really in Seattle, we got them so motivated and proud to say, we'd say, you have to come out in support for marriage equality. It's not enough just to say to your gay friends, hey, I support you guys. And you need to go now to your coworkers, your family, and tell your story about why you support us, because then they're going to maybe think twice. And that began to happen, and we had tons of straight allies at our victory party that were just like, I'd never voted before, this changed my life. Now they're active in politics. Daniel himself is now very, very active, and before he'd never even registered. He's 25 years old. So
that's terrific.
Yeah, it was such an amazing time, and so as you can imagine, the Soci members are just ecstatic today, and we couldn't be happier about doing a rally that is actually to celebrate instead of because we don't do that enough, I think, in our community. We don't. The other side, the bigots, if you will, they've forced us to constantly be on the move, and so you don't get a chance every now and then to stop, take a breath, and go, hey, we did this, and let's take a look at how we did this and what worked, and give that knowledge to others. But let's just take a moment to celebrate,
to enjoy it.
And people already get started and say, well, what's next? Listen, we know what's next, but let's take today and celebrate. We earned it.
Even Pride celebrations, while they're celebratory, are really based on terrible things that happened to us in the past,
Right.
And so, Sean, I just love what you did there, and I couldn't agree more with you on the whole straight ally thing. I mean, at any time in history, we're roughly, 10% of the population. We're never going to win a contest if only the LGBT people are doing the voting. So we have to have those straight allies. I couldn't agree with you more. Sean
and
Niddle,
they turned out the numbers. They really did.
Social Outreach Seattle Is it .com or .org? .com?
It's .com.
Okay, good. Sean, thank you so much for joining us again here on the show. We'll have you on during our regularly scheduled show maybe sometime next month. So,
All right.
Thank
I
you,
look
sir.
forward to it.
Stick around, everyone. We still have an hour left of our DOMA Supreme Court coverage. Prop 8, too. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool, meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
Can we have your attention for a moment? Eat, Drink, Explore Media has an important date we want to share with you. Saturday, July 13th. We invite you to join us at a craft beer and food event like no other. At last count, generous samples from more than 70 breweries will be paired with local culinary treats for the 2013 Breast Fest along San Francisco's waterfront at Fort Mason. Going on its 14th year, the annual Breast Fest has grown dramatically, raising money for an incredibly important cause, providing free, complimentary treatments for women battling breast cancer. The Charlotte Maxwell Clinic offers services such as acupuncture, massage, organic foods, and transportation. The clinic's core mission to provide relief from the terrible side effects of cancer and its treatments. Eat, Drink, Explore Media is very proud to be among the main sponsors for this year's event. For more information, go to thebreastfest.org. You're listening to Equality Radio on QTalk America, equalityradio.net, qtalkamerica.com.
It is the top of the hour and time for the Equality Radio news update. Today's historic Supreme Court rulings on both the so-called Defense of Marriage Act, or DOMA, and California's Proposition 8. President Obama may have said it best with his tweet following the court's striking down of DOMA 5-4, tweeting, "Today's DOMA ruling is a historic step forward for hashtag marriage equality, hashtag love is love." That's a pretty hip president. The ruling means same-sex couples who are legally married in the states where they live will now have those marriages recognized by the federal government as well. That has great implications. Mary at SCOTUS blog wrote this morning, "Perhaps for the first time ever, many people will be eager to file their taxes next April the 15th. I'm not so sure about that, but I can tell you it'll be a lot easier for me and my husband. To be clear, however, this ruling does not, underscore not, establish a constitutional right to same-sex marriage. It was important to the outcome that the couple in this case was legally married under state law in New York. The equal protection violation arose from Congress's disrespecting that decision by the state of New York to allow such a marriage. Edith Windsor had sued the government over more than $300,000 she was required to pay in taxes after the death of her spouse. Had Windsor been married to a man, she would not have had to pay those taxes, and now, after this ruling, she won't have to after all, and many others that are in similar situations. As for Proposition 8, it's a little less clear, but marriage equality should be returning to California. As the justices ruled, the Ninth Circuit Court was without jurisdiction to consider the appeal. Now, this is going to be legalese here. The judgment of the Ninth Court is vacated, and the case is remanded with instructions to dismiss the appeal for lack of jurisdiction. Huh? Well, like with DOMA, the ruling is similar to what was expected. However, the justices voting weren't what people expected. Legal experts differ on the precise legal and practical effect of such a ruling. But many say the trial court's decision would survive, and that either as a consequence of the decision or the actions of state officials, same-sex marriages in California would resume. We've seen that they could resume as early as the end of next month, the end of July. This is from Amy Howe with SCOTUS blog, and she puts it in, well, somewhat plain English. This is her take on Hollingsworth versus Perry, which was the Prop 8 case. The challenge to the constitutionality of California's Proposition 8, which bans same-sex marriage. After the two same-sex couples filed their challenge to Proposition 8 in federal court in California, the California government officials, who would normally have defended the law in court, declined to do so. So the proponents of Proposition 8 stepped in to defend the law. And the California Supreme Court, in response to a request by the lower court, ruled that they could do so under state law. But today, the Supreme Court held that the proponents do not have the legal right to defend that law in court. As a result, it held the decision by the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit Court, the Intermediate Appellate Court, has no legal force, and it sent the case back to that court with instructions for it to dismiss the case. Any more clear for you now? Rallies are being held from coast to coast throughout the United States at this hour and are scheduled into the day and evening. You'll find them everywhere, from smaller, less gay-friendly towns like Helena, Montana, and Charleston, West Virginia, to LGBT hotspots, including New York and San Francisco. Keep it right here for live coverage from Equality Radio, exclusively from Q Talk America. I'm Randall White, and we're back after this very short break. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar is the place Las Vegas locals and tourists alike go to enjoy a welcoming environment with a small town feel. Meet up with friends and relax at Flex, open 24 hours a day. Flex is located on the west side of Las Vegas at West Charleston and Arville, just 4 miles from downtown and the Strip. Flex is known for its friendly bartenders, loose gaming, and inexpensive cocktails. Stop by whenever you're in Vegas and play a game of pool, meet a friend, or even make a new one. To see the schedule of drag queen karaoke, dance club activities, and gaming options, log on to flexlasvegas.com. That's flexlasvegas.com. Flex Cocktail Lounge and LGBT Bar, the place to enjoy our Las Vegas.
You're listening to Equality Radio. Equality Radio.
Fabulous.
Now, here's your host, Randall White. Randall White on Q Talk America.
11:06 here on the West Coast, 2:06 Eastern. Great to have you joining us, everyone. It is a Wednesday, a very important Wednesday, with the Supreme Court handing down two major decisions for both Prop 8 and DOMA. And like every Wednesday, we welcome Greg in Hollywood with his unique take on things going on in Tinseltown. And today, of course, I would imagine there's lots of action as well. Greg Hernandez joins us. You can find his blog all the time, greginhollywood.com. Oh, he's not on the line right now. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought he was. We'll switch gears back over here again to this. This little screen. For those of you watching online, you can do so on Ustream. And then, of course, we are heard exclusively on Q Talk America. I am your host, Randall White, and lots of really interesting information coming down regarding today's rulings. And let me just start with over here. Oh, what did I just do with that? Here we go. Sorry, I thought Greg was on the line, so wasn't prepared to take a different route here. So let's see. I'm just looking over a news article here quickly. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi from San Francisco reacted to apparently something that Michelle Bachmann had released a statement regarding what happened today. Michelle Bachmann saying, "No man, not even a Supreme Court, can undo what a holy God has instituted." Ms. Bachmann said in her statement, "For thousands of years of recorded human history, no society has defended the legal standard of marriage as anything other than between man and woman." She hesitates to mention that sometimes it's many women, sometimes it's the neighbor's wife. She said the court action will undermine the best interest of children and the best interest of the United States. Close quote. This is according to Medialite.com. So, asked to react to Bachmann's statement, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi summed up what increasing majorities of Americans feel about such strident opposition with a dismissive, "Who cares?" So that's how Nancy Pelosi responded to Michelle Bachmann's statement. And truly, who cares what Michelle Bachmann thinks? She's not running again. Her husband is questionable at best, on his whole... He was running one of those anti-gay ministries, one of those ministries where they try to de-gay you. She's a wingnut, and I'm definitely not the first to say it. The only reason she's elected is because the boundaries of where she gets elected, it's a very, how Congress is laid out. And so I'm very happy to say that she won't be back in after her term is up. She won't be back in the Congress, and so I have to agree with Nancy Pelosi. Who cares? Excuse me. I'm not getting choked up. I just misswallowed on that one there. So if you're just tuning in right now and haven't heard, if you've been under a rock or you out partying too late last night and just now waking up. Yes, indeed. The Supreme Court of the United States has knocked down the Defense of Marriage Act, saying that it is unconstitutional. And so now many, many rights that were once just the purview of married couples of opposite sexes are now extended to all of the same-sex couples married legally in the states where they live. Now, this does not extend marriage equality to all 50 states, but it is a huge, huge step forward. And the President of the United States calling the winners, the plaintiffs on both sides, not on both sides of one issue, but calling the winner of the DOMA case and the winners of the Prop 8 case to congratulate them, and really touching some of the different comments that I've heard during this time. And following on Twitter, we have all sorts of just comments coming down through the feed here. A lot of people talking about the Nancy Pelosi comment that I just mentioned. And that was a hateful one. I don't want to read that.